For thousands of years, humanity has stood before towering stone monuments, their origins shrouded in mystery. From the arid deserts of Egypt to the dense forests of Europe, these ancient structures seem to defy the very limits of human capability. How did civilizations, with nothing but rudimentary tools, create such marvels? Were they simply advanced for their time? Or was there something more, something we don't yet understand? Massive stones, perfectly aligned, weighing hundreds of tons, sit silently in places where the conventional story of human history struggles to explain their existence. How were these colossal blocks moved, shaped, and placed with such precision? And why do some of these megalithic wonders exhibit patterns, alignments, and features that seem to speak of knowledge far beyond the scope of their builders? Could these structures be the remnants of lost civilizations, or something even more extraordinary? Join us as we unravel the mysteries behind the megaliths that have left historians and archaeologists questioning everything we know about the ancient world. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into a journey that challenges the limits of what we believe is possible. Deep in the heart of Rajasthan, India, amidst the endless stretch of desert and scattered villages, stands a temple that has drawn the gaze of countless travelers and scholars alike. The Rishabdev Temple, a Jain shrine dedicated to Lord Rishabdeva, rises from the arid landscape like a silent sentinel, holding its secrets close. Its delicate sandstone walls, intricately carved with scenes from the Jain pantheon, reflect the golden light of the setting sun. Yet, for all its beauty and grandeur, the true origins and methods behind its construction remain shrouded in mystery. The temple itself is a marvel of ancient architecture. Built in the 12th century by the Chalukya dynasty, it follows the traditional Shikara style, where the central tower reaches skyward, symbolizing the divine ascent. But what stands out is not just the temple's form, it is the precision, the fine details, and the sense of purpose embedded in every stone. The quality of the carvings, sharp, clean, and almost unnaturally perfect, raises a question that has lingered among researchers for years. How could a civilization of this era, with its limited technology, have achieved such remarkable craftsmanship? Mainstream scholars point to the evolving skills of the artisans over generations, suggesting that their techniques, refined through centuries of trial and error, were responsible for the high degree of precision. However, others have proposed a more intriguing theory. Could the artisans have been using techniques lost to history, tools or methods unknown to us today? The sharpness of the stonework, so fine that it rivals modern technology, suggests there was more to these builders than we understand. Some have even speculated that the temple's design incorporates elements that were not known in the 12th century, such as advanced geometry or even celestial alignments. At first glance, the temple seems like a typical structure of its time, but a closer examination reveals subtle details that hint at something more. The positioning of certain carvings seems almost deliberate, as though they were meant to align with specific stars or celestial events. Some have suggested that the temple might have been built not just as a place of worship, but as an astronomical observatory, an instrument of knowledge that the builders used to chart the skies above. The idea that the Rishabdev temple might have been designed with astronomical precision invites further questions. How could ancient architects, working with only rudimentary tools, have such an intricate understanding of the stars? Was there a lost tradition of astronomical knowledge in ancient India that has since been forgotten, or perhaps even suppressed? The location of the temple adds another layer of intrigue. Situated in the desert, far from major trade routes, the site seems almost deliberately isolated, as though the builders intended it to be a place of profound significance, away from the distractions of the world. Could this location have been chosen for its symbolic connection to the cosmos, with the desert skies offering a clear view of the stars? And why would such a profound connection to the heavens be embedded in a structure dedicated to Lord Rishabdeva, the first giant Tirthankara? As we examine the materials used in the construction of the temple, even more questions arise. The sandstone from which the temple is built is remarkably durable, enduring the harsh desert winds and extreme temperatures for over 800 years. Yet, some of the carvings appear almost as fresh as the day they were completed, an indication that the technique for treating the stone may have been far ahead of its time. What methods were used to preserve these carvings, and could this knowledge have been lost over the centuries? Despite the temple's age and the wealth of research that has been conducted, the full story of its construction remains elusive. Was it truly the work of human hands, or was there something more at play? The mainstream narrative tells us that the artisans were highly skilled and worked diligently over many years to create such a masterpiece. But the mysteries of the temple, the precision, the celestial alignments, and the seemingly advanced techniques suggest there may be more to the story than we currently know. Perhaps the most profound question is not just how the Rishabdev temple was built, but why it was built in the way it was. What knowledge, hidden within its walls, might we still be overlooking? The alignment with celestial bodies, the strange perfection of its stone carvings, and the overall design of the temple point to something greater, a secret, perhaps, that we have yet to uncover. As we continue to search for answers, we are left to wonder, what other mysteries lie buried within this ancient structure, waiting for the right minds to unlock its full potential? As we leave behind the intricacies of India's Rishabdev temple, we journey to the highlands of Ethiopia, where a different kind of mystery awaits. Here, in the ancient city of Aksum, stands an array of towering obelisks, stone monuments that reach up to 30 meters in height, their sharp points cutting into the sky. These impressive structures, made of single blocks of granite, have long been a source of fascination. They stand as silent sentinels to a past we only begin to understand. What knowledge or power could they have once represented? The Aksum obelisks are not merely architectural marvels. They are the remains of an ancient civilization that once dominated the region. Aksum was the heart of the kingdom of Aksum, a powerful empire that flourished from the 4th to the 7th centuries CE. At the height of its influence, it was a center of trade, culture, and innovation, reaching as far as the Arabian Peninsula and beyond. Yet even today, the precise origins of the obelisks and how they were constructed remain clouded in mystery. The obelisks themselves are made of solid granite, a material that, even by modern standards, is incredibly difficult to work with. The largest of these obelisks, often referred to as the Great Obelisk, stands at an astounding 24 meters and weighs more than 500 tons. How could such massive stones have been quarried, transported, and erected with the technology available at the time? The accepted explanation suggests that these ancient engineers used ramps, levers, and sheer manpower to move these colossal blocks into place. But the sheer scale and precision of the work invite a deeper question. Could there have been a method of construction that we are yet to discover? The most puzzling element of the Aksum obelisks is not just their size, but their design. These monuments are often described as false doors, resembling the entrances to buildings, with intricate carvings and geometric patterns. Some even resemble structures with windows and doors, but without any obvious purpose or interior. What was the symbolic significance of these carvings? Were they markers for something? Perhaps a royal tomb, a religious site, or even a celestial alignment? The alignment of the obelisks suggests a level of sophistication that far surpasses what we might expect from a civilization of the time. Some researchers have proposed that these obelisks could have served an astronomical function, with their arrangement reflecting the movements of stars or planets. Adding to the enigma is the fact that many of the obelisks were destroyed or collapsed during the early 20th century, when an Italian military expedition sought to remove them as trophies of war. The fate of these monuments raises a deeper question. What knowledge was lost when these obelisks fell, and what secrets might they have contained that are now buried in the rubble? One of the most compelling aspects of the Aksum obelisks is their connection to a much larger narrative, one that stretches beyond the borders of Ethiopia. Could these ancient stones have been part of a network of megalithic monuments scattered across the African continent and beyond? Similar obelisks, often attributed to ancient African civilizations, can be found in other parts of the world, such as in Egypt, Sudan, and even as far as the Canary Islands. What connections existed between these distant cultures, and how might they have shared knowledge or technologies? Could the obelisks of Aksum have been part of an even greater, now forgotten tradition of monumental construction passed down through generations? As we consider these possibilities, we are left with more questions than answers. Was the kingdom of Aksum truly the product of a unique civilization, or did it inherit knowledge from ancient predecessors, perhaps even from an unknown advanced culture that left behind the obelisks as part of a larger global network of megalithic sites? The advanced engineering, the precision of the stonework, and the symbolic complexity of the obelisks point to a civilization with an understanding of design and construction that may have been lost over time. And yet, the most intriguing question remains. What did these obelisks represent to the people who built them? Were they markers of power, symbols of a divine connection, or something far more profound? Perhaps a way to communicate with the heavens themselves. As we stand before these ancient monuments, their silent presence invites reflection. In the shadow of their towering forms, we can't help but wonder what knowledge, what mysteries lie hidden in the stones of Aksum, waiting to be uncovered by those willing to look deeper. From the dusty plains of Ethiopia, we now travel to the heart of India, where another set of ancient monuments beckons us with their quiet, enigmatic presence. The Khajuraho temples, nestled in the central Indian state of Madhya Pradesh, rise from the earth like a testament to a forgotten time. These temples, a cluster of 20 surviving structures, stand as a vivid reminder of the Chandela dynasty's artistic and architectural brilliance. But behind their intricate carvings and towering spires, a deeper mystery awaits, one that has long captured the curiosity of historians, archaeologists, and even mystics. The Khajuraho temples, built between 950 and 1050 CE, are remarkable not only for their size, but for their extraordinary detail. The intricate carvings on their stone walls are unlike anything else in the world, depictions of gods, celestial beings, animals, and everyday life. At first glance, the temples appear to be an expression of spiritual devotion, dedicated to the Hindu gods and goddesses. But as we examine them more closely, questions begin to emerge. The most striking aspect of these temples is the level of sexual imagery that appears throughout their carvings. At first glance, this might seem out of place, especially in a deeply religious setting. Yet, these depictions are not random or merely decorative. They are an integral part of the narrative etched into the stone, weaving together themes of fertility, divine creation, and the union of opposites. What, then, was the purpose of this explicit imagery? Was it a symbolic representation of cosmic forces, an attempt to understand the nature of the divine through human experience? Or was there another, more profound reason for these detailed depictions? Some scholars have suggested that the temples were intended as a celebration of life itself, its pleasures, its procreation, its creation, and destruction. The depiction of sensuality might have symbolized the idea that the physical world, with all its desires and pleasures, was an essential part of the spiritual journey. But such an explanation still leaves much unexplained. Why did the Chandela rulers, at the height of their power, choose to build such a complex and provocative set of temples in the heart of India? Adding to the mystery is the sheer scale and complexity of the temple's design. The layout of the Khajuraho group of temples follows a pattern that seems to have been carefully considered, with each temple positioned in alignment with others. Some researchers believe that the temples may have had a celestial purpose, perhaps aligned with certain stars or planetary bodies. Was the placement of these temples more than just an architectural choice? Could the Chandela rulers have had access to ancient astronomical knowledge that allowed them to design a structure that resonated with the heavens? But there is something even more extraordinary about the Khajuraho temples, the precision with which the carvings were executed. The sandstone used in their construction is remarkably fine, and the level of detail in the carvings, down to the smallest folds in clothing or the delicate features of faces, is astonishing. How did the craftsmen of the time achieve such precision, especially considering that they had no modern tools or machinery? Some have even speculated that the stone was treated with some kind of technique that has been lost to history, one that allowed them to carve so delicately without the use of advanced technology. And then there are the lingering questions about the temple's abandonment. By the end of the 12th century, the Chandela dynasty began to fade, and the temples were gradually abandoned, left to be forgotten by most of the world. How did such a vibrant, sophisticated civilization simply disappear from the historical record? Did the temples serve a greater purpose that was eventually lost to time? Or were they, as some suggest, part of a larger cultural or religious tradition that was ultimately suppressed or destroyed? In recent years, a more speculative theory has emerged. What if the temples of Khajuraho were not just products of a single civilization, but part of an ancient, global tradition of sacred architecture passed down through forgotten cultures? Some have drawn parallels between the Khajuraho temples and other megalithic structures, like those at Aksum, Egypt, or even the ancient sites of Central America, suggesting that there may have been a more profound, universal knowledge about the relationship between humanity, the divine, and the cosmos. What if the ancient builders of Khajuraho, like those who constructed other megalithic sites, possessed a kind of knowledge that has been lost to history? Knowledge about the stars, the earth, and the human body, all woven together in a grand design? As we stand before these ancient temples, their towering spires casting long shadows across the landscape, we are left with more questions than answers. The Khajuraho temples, with their detailed carvings, celestial alignments, and enigmatic imagery, invite us to reflect on a world long past, one that might have held secrets we are only beginning to uncover. What knowledge, what mysteries are hidden within the stones of these temples? And how much more might still lie buried waiting for us to discover? As we leave behind the enigmatic carvings of the Khajuraho temples, our journey now takes us to the arid plains of present-day Pakistan, where another ancient civilization once thrived. Here, near the banks of the Indus River, the ruins of Mohenjo-Daro lie in quiet solitude, a testament to one of the earliest and most sophisticated urban centers of the ancient world. For thousands of years, this lost city remained buried beneath layers of earth and time, until its rediscovery in the 1920s, when archaeologists unearthed its remarkably well-planned streets, advanced drainage systems, and enigmatic artifacts. But the question remains, who were the people who built Mohenjo-Daro, and why did they vanish so suddenly, leaving behind no written records to explain their existence? Mohenjo-Daro, part of the ancient Indus Valley civilization, dates back to around 2500 BCE. It is one of the earliest examples of urban planning, with a grid-like street layout, fortified walls, and an intricate system of public baths and drainage channels. The city's advanced infrastructure suggests a society that understood engineering, sanitation, and urban management in ways that were far ahead of its time. The streets are laid out with astonishing precision, and the drainage system is particularly impressive, with covered sewers and private bathrooms connected to public drains. a concept not seen again in major cities until centuries later. How could a civilization with technology so rudimentary by today's standards have achieved such sophistication? The buildings, made from fired brick, have withstood the test of time in a way that many modern structures might envy. But what is truly perplexing is the sheer ordinality of the city's design. There are no grand palaces, no towering monuments, just the quiet, methodical layout of what seems to be a highly organized, yet remarkably restrained urban center. Could Mohenjo-Daro have been a city built by a society that valued harmony, balance, and functionality over ostentation? Or was there something more profound at work here, something we are only beginning to comprehend? Perhaps the most striking aspect of Mohenjo-Daro, however, is the mystery surrounding its sudden decline. By around 1900 BCE, the city was abandoned, and its people disappeared without a trace. There are no clear signs of invasion, destruction, or warfare. Instead, the city appears to have simply been left behind, its streets and homes intact, but empty. What could have caused such an abrupt end to a civilization that seemed so advanced? Was it a natural disaster, such as an earthquake or flooding, that led to its downfall? Or was there some other, more subtle force at play? Perhaps environmental collapse, a loss of resources, or even social upheaval? Adding to the intrigue is the discovery of skeletal remains scattered throughout the ruins. While most of the bodies appear to have been buried in a relatively peaceful manner, a few have raised questions. Some of the skeletons show signs of violent injury, suggesting that despite the city's orderly appearance, there may have been moments of conflict or internal strife. But what does this tell us about the final days of Mohenjo-Daro? Were these signs of an internal collapse, a sudden breakdown of a once thriving society? Or could they point to something even more unusual? One of the greatest mysteries of Mohenjo-Daro, however, lies in the artifacts it left behind, particularly the small, intricately carved seals made of steatite, a soft, easily carved stone. These seals, some bearing animal motifs, others featuring abstract geometric patterns, have confounded researchers for decades. What purpose did these seals serve? Some suggest they may have been used in trade, marking goods with the owner's identity. Others speculate that they had a ritualistic function, serving as symbols of spiritual or political power. But one of the most intriguing possibilities is that these seals may have been part of a communication system, perhaps an early form of writing, or even a system of knowledge that was lost with the collapse of the city. If these seals were indeed used for writing, then why has no decipherable language or script been found to correspond with them? Could this missing piece of history be a key to understanding the true nature of the Indus Valley civilization? In recent years, some researchers have raised the possibility of a more speculative theory, that the civilization of Mohenjo-Daro may have been in contact with other, even older cultures, whose knowledge was passed down and integrated into their own urban design and technologies. Could there have been an ancient, widespread network of civilizations, all contributing to the rise of the Indus Valley? Some suggest that these mysterious connections might even extend to places like Mesopotamia, Egypt, or the lost civilizations of the Americas. What if the builders of Mohenjo-Daro were not isolated in their achievements, but part of a far larger and more intricate web of ancient knowledge and exchange? The mysteries of Mohenjo-Daro, much like those of other ancient megalithic sites, remain unsolved, and as we stand amidst its ruins, we are left to ponder the true nature of the people who once lived here. What knowledge did they possess that has since been forgotten, and what catastrophic event led to their sudden disappearance? As we continue to study the ruins, the questions persist, and perhaps in time we will uncover more pieces of this ancient puzzle. But for now, Mohenjo-Daro stands as one of the most intriguing and perplexing remnants of the ancient world, a city of great achievement and an enduring mystery. Having journeyed through the ancient ruins of Mohenjo-Daro, we now turn our gaze to a place that carries both spiritual significance and historical enigma, a place where the whispers of the past echo in the winds that sweep across the arid landscape. Mount Nebo, perched in the Jordanian desert, offers a stunning panoramic view of the Holy Land. From this height, one can gaze across the vast valley below, where the Jordan River winds its way toward the Dead Sea, its waters reflecting the sun's harsh light. Here, amid the rocky terrain, history and legend intertwine, and the mysteries of the ancient world seem to linger just out of reach. Mount Nebo is perhaps best known for its association with the biblical story of Moses. According to tradition, this is the very place where Moses stood to view the promised land before his death, gazing out at a land he would never enter. The mountain, rising nearly 800 meters above sea level, is a site of deep religious significance, drawing pilgrims for centuries. But beyond its biblical ties, Mount Nebo holds secrets that have baffled scholars and archaeologists for generations. At the summit of Mount Nebo, the remains of a Byzantine church stand as a reminder of a time long past. This church, dating back to the 4th or 5th century CE, was built upon earlier structures, perhaps from the time of Moses himself. The floor is covered with intricate mosaics, many of which remain remarkably well preserved. These mosaics depict a variety of scenes, some of biblical origin, others more abstract in their imagery. But what is most striking is not the artistry or the symbolism, but the sense that this place holds a much deeper mystery. Why was this particular site chosen to house such important religious and cultural symbols? Was it simply because of its proximity to the biblical narrative? Or is there something more significant about Mount Nebo's position, its geology, or its hidden past? The most fascinating aspect of Mount Nebo lies not in the church itself, but in the landscape surrounding it. Specifically, the presence of ancient stone structures that suggest this place has been revered for far longer than we've been led to believe. Some of these structures are unmistakably megalithic, large, precisely cut stones that seem to have been placed with purpose, yet their exact function remains unclear. These megaliths are scattered across the mountain, their arrangement seemingly deliberate, but the question remains: who built them, and why? Could they have been part of an even older structure, one that predates the biblical period by centuries? Was this mountain once a place of power, a center of ancient knowledge or ritual, long before it became a sacred site for followers of Moses? The connection between Mount Nebo and earlier civilizations is not purely speculative. The region surrounding the mountain has long been a crossroads of ancient trade and culture. Archaeologists have uncovered evidence of settlement in the area dating back to the Bronze Age, suggesting that this mountain may have been a place of significance for thousands of years. Yet, even with this wealth of historical data, the question of what this place truly represented to its ancient inhabitants remains elusive. Why were the people of antiquity so drawn to this particular mountain, and what mysteries did they hope to unlock here? As we look deeper into the landscape, we are drawn to the possibility that Mount Nebo might have once been part of a vast network of megalithic sites, linked by celestial alignments or ancient pathways that spanned the desert. Could this mountain, with its commanding view of the Jordan Valley, have served as an observatory or a place of cosmic significance? Some researchers have proposed that the alignment of certain ancient structures on the mountain may correspond to solstices, equinoxes, or other celestial events, suggesting that the builders of these monuments had a sophisticated understanding of astronomy. Even more intriguing are the claims that the mountain's geological properties could have played a role in its importance. The region around Mount Nebo is rich in natural resources, and some have suggested that the location of the mountain itself was selected not just for its visibility or spiritual relevance, but because it offered unique geological features, perhaps the ability to harness certain natural energies or elements. Were these ancient peoples aware of the land's hidden properties? Did they believe that Mount Nebo held special power, either through its connection to the earth or the heavens? For centuries, the true meaning of Mount Nebo has remained hidden beneath layers of time and myth. Was it merely a place of religious significance as described in the Bible, or was it once a place of far greater mystery, perhaps a center of ancient knowledge or cosmic understanding? What secrets do the megalithic stones and the ancient mosaics hold, waiting to be uncovered? As we stand at the summit, the vast expanse of the Holy Land unfolding before us, we are left with more questions than answers. Mount Nebo, with its deep ties to both history and legend, continues to draw us in. Its stones, its mosaics, and its position in the landscape all seem to speak of a past that is far more complex than we can fully comprehend. What knowledge, what hidden truths, might still lie buried on this sacred mountain, waiting for a future generation to uncover? As we leave the ancient heights of Mount Nebo, we now travel to Southeast Asia, where another monumental mystery lies in wait. The sprawling temple complex of Angkor Wat, located in the dense jungles of Cambodia, rises from the earth like a vision from a forgotten time, its towering spires cutting through the humid air. Surrounded by moats and vast reservoirs, Angkor Wat appears almost otherworldly, a colossal structure that commands both reverence and wonder. Built in the early 12th century by King Suryavarman II, it was originally intended as a Hindu temple dedicated to the god Vishnu, before gradually transforming into a Buddhist sanctuary. But even with its well-documented history, the question remains: how was such an enormous and complex structure built in the heart of a jungle, far from the resources we would expect for such an undertaking? The sheer scale of Angkor Wat is staggering. Its central tower reaches nearly 65 meters into the sky, symbolizing the mythical Mount Meru, the axis of the universe in Hindu cosmology. The temple's layout is both symmetrical and intricate, designed to represent the cosmos in stone, a microcosm of the heavens and earth, with galleries and towers that echo the divine order of the universe. As we walk through its sandstone corridors and past its magnificent bas-reliefs, it's hard not to be struck by the perfection of its design. The walls are covered in delicate carvings, depicting everything from Hindu mythology to scenes of daily life in the ancient Khmer Empire. Yet, the precision and scale of the temple's construction seem almost beyond what we can reasonably attribute to the technology available at the time. Angkor Wat was not built overnight. The construction spanned decades, with tens of thousands of workers laboring tirelessly to bring this vision to life. Yet, as we examine the materials used, the complexity of the design, and the sophistication of its architecture, questions begin to emerge. How did the builders manage to transport the massive stones that make up the temple? Many of these blocks weigh several tons and were quarried from distant sites, yet there's little evidence of the advanced tools or transportation methods we would expect for such a feat. Could the ancient Khmers have had access to technologies or knowledge that has since been lost to history? Or was there something more to their building techniques? Perhaps a method of construction that was both more advanced and more enigmatic than we can comprehend? One of the most striking aspects of Angkor Wat is the way it seems to harmonize with its natural surroundings. The temple is aligned with the cardinal directions, and its layout mirrors the structure of the universe, as understood by the ancient Khmer people. Some scholars have even suggested that Angkor Wat was built as a massive astronomical observatory, designed to track celestial events such as the solstices and equinoxes. The temple's orientation, along with the careful placement of its towers and galleries, hints at a deeper understanding of the cosmos. But how could such a seemingly isolated civilization possess such an advanced grasp of astronomical principles? Was this knowledge passed down from an even older civilization? Or did the builders of Angkor Wat develop this understanding on their own, lost to history as time passed? Another mystery that surrounds Angkor Wat is the construction of its vast waterworks. Surrounding the temple complex are vast reservoirs, some stretching over several kilometers in length. These reservoirs, which provided water for the growing city of Angkor, were engineered with a level of precision that would be difficult to replicate even with modern technology. How were these massive water features constructed without modern machinery? And more intriguingly, why did the builders choose to incorporate such extensive hydraulic systems into the design of the temple? Was it purely practical? Or did the water play a symbolic role, representing the flow of life, or perhaps the connection between the divine and the mortal realms? As with many other ancient megalithic sites, the question of Angkor Wat's purpose is not easily answered. Was it simply a religious monument built to honor the gods and the king? Or did it have a more profound cosmic significance, perhaps acting as a center of knowledge, power, or ritual? Some researchers have suggested that Angkor Wat was intended to serve as a kind of cosmic gateway, a place where the divine and human realms intersected. But could this be more than just symbolic? Could the temple have been designed with some hidden function, perhaps even a form of ancient technology that we've yet to uncover? As we continue to explore the mystery of Angkor Wat, we are left with more questions than answers. The temple's scale, precision, and alignment with the stars suggest that it was more than just a place of worship. It may have been a symbol of an ancient knowledge, a profound understanding of the cosmos and the natural world. Yet, despite decades of research, we are still left to wonder, what secrets lie hidden within the walls of this ancient temple? Could there be a deeper purpose to Angkor Wat, one that is yet to be revealed? And what knowledge, lost to time, might still be buried beneath the dense jungle that surrounds it? As we move on from this ancient marvel, we are reminded once again that some mysteries may never be fully solved. The grandeur of Angkor Wat, with all its beauty and complexity, challenges our understanding of the past and invites us to look beyond the conventional explanations to explore the possibility of a more profound history waiting to be uncovered. From the lush jungles of Cambodia, where the stones of Angkor Wat still echo with the whispers of ancient knowledge, we now turn our attention to the vast and mysterious expanse of northern China. Here, amidst the arid plains and the rolling hills of Inner Mongolia, lies the ancient city of Xanadu, once the capital of the Mongol Empire under the rule of Kublai Khan. Though the name Xanadu is often associated with Marco Polo's romanticized accounts of the city, the real story is far more complex, blending myth with historical reality and leaving us to wonder, what did Xanadu truly represent, and why has it remained so elusive? The city of Xanadu, known to the Mongols as Shangdu, was a place of immense power and luxury. When Kublai Khan established it as his capital in the 13th century, it was meant to symbolize the grandeur and vastness of the Mongol Empire. Located in the heart of the Mongolian steppe, Xanadu was said to be a place of unmatched beauty, filled with opulent palaces, lush gardens, and intricate temples. It was a vision of the East, a convergence of culture, art, and architecture drawn from the far-reaching corners of the Khan's empire. Historical records describe Xanadu as a magnificent city, with buildings made from precious materials and expansive landscapes adorned with vast reservoirs and gardens. The palace of Kublai Khan himself was said to be a sight to behold, with its towering walls, intricate carvings, and lush surroundings. But despite the grandeur described in ancient texts, there is little evidence to suggest that Xanadu's architectural feats were possible by the means available to its time. The city's construction, while impressive, poses questions that have never been fully answered. How did Kublai Khan's builders manage to create such a monumental city in the remote reaches of the steppe, far from major sources of materials and skilled labor? What makes Xanadu particularly intriguing is the way its physical existence seems to slip between myth and history. While the city itself has been excavated, The full extent of its architectural achievements remains shrouded in mystery. The very location of Xanadu, once thought to be lost forever, was rediscovered in the early 20th century when Chinese archaeologists unearthed its remains. However, much of what was discovered was buried under centuries of sediment, obscuring the true size and scope of the city. What remains today is fragmented: a few crumbling walls, the remains of what could have been grand palaces, and the faint outline of a network of streets and reservoirs. Still, these traces are enough to suggest a civilization that was far more advanced than we might expect for its time. The city's connection to the wider world of the Mongol Empire is another piece of the puzzle. Kublai Khan, after all, ruled over one of the largest empires in history, stretching from the Pacific Ocean to the edges of Europe. And yet Xanadu was not just a political capital. It was also a center of cultural exchange. The city is said to have housed scholars, artisans, and traders from across Asia and beyond, blending influences from Persia, China, and even Europe. This fusion of styles is evident in the archaeological remains, with influences ranging from Persian tilework to the intricate wood carvings found in the ruins of Kublai Khan's palace. But if Xanadu truly was a melting pot of cultures, how did its architects manage to incorporate so many diverse elements into its design? Was there a level of knowledge or technique passed down from previous civilizations, possibly lost over time, that enabled such a feat? Some researchers have proposed that the construction of Xanadu might have been influenced by older, ancient traditions of city building, perhaps drawn from even earlier lost civilizations. Could the grand design of Xanadu have been built upon knowledge passed down from ancient architectural practices that predated the Mongol Empire? The sheer scale of the city's layout and the ambitious plans that Kublai Khan had for it suggest that the foundations of Xanadu might have been laid by builders who possessed knowledge far beyond the ordinary scope of 13th century engineering. Despite these fascinating insights, much about Xanadu remains hidden, both in the physical ruins and in the pages of history. The city's rapid decline after Kublai Khan's death and its subsequent abandonment add another layer of intrigue to the mystery. Was the city's sudden fall a result of political turmoil, economic collapse, or something else entirely? And why, after all the resources and labor invested in building such a magnificent city, did it remain largely abandoned, a forgotten monument to an empire that was rapidly shifting and changing? As we piece together the fragments of Xanadu's history, one is struck by the profound gap between the city's legendary status and its physical remains. Perhaps it is the very elusiveness of Xanadu that has made it such a compelling subject for exploration. After all, it exists not only in the dusty archaeological sites, but also in the realm of myth and imagination, forever entwined with the stories of Marco Polo and the romanticism of the East. And so, we are left to wonder, what deeper mysteries lie buried in the ruins of Xanadu, waiting to be discovered? Were the city's architects truly capable of such grand feats of design and construction? Or did the knowledge and skills required to build it come from a lost source, far older and more advanced than we can imagine? As we gaze across the plains of Inner Mongolia, where the city once stood in all its glory, the unanswered questions continue to linger, inviting us to look deeper, to explore further, and to wonder what hidden secrets might still lie beneath the surface of this ancient city. Having wandered through the distant, wind-swept plains of Xanadu, we now find ourselves in the dense jungles of Guatemala, where the ancient city of Tikal rises majestically from the tropical undergrowth. Towering pyramids and stone temples peek above the canopy, their jagged edges cutting through the thick, humid air like sentinels of a forgotten civilization. Tikal, one of the most powerful and influential cities of the Maya civilization, holds a profound mystery, both in its monumental architecture and the silence of its eventual abandonment. The ruins of Tikal are a marvel of ancient engineering, sprawling over 16 square kilometers, with its most impressive structures towering high above the jungle floor. The city was once a thriving metropolis, home to thousands of people who lived and worshipped amidst the grand stone structures. The tallest of these structures, Temple 4, rises nearly 70 meters into the air, making it one of the tallest pre-Columbian structures in the Americas. Its sheer height and precision of construction seem almost too advanced for the era. How were these massive stones quarried, transported, and assembled, especially in a dense jungle environment, using only rudimentary tools? What knowledge did the Maya possess that allowed them to construct such monumental buildings, many of which remain largely intact after more than 1,000 years? As we walk through the site, we are drawn to the intricate carvings and inscriptions that adorn the temples and palaces of Tikal. These glyphs, many of which are still being deciphered, provide a glimpse into the religious and political life of the Maya elite. Yet, for all their complexity, these texts only raise more questions than they answer. The glyphs tell the stories of powerful rulers, wars, and alliances, but they also suggest a level of astronomical and mathematical knowledge that was far ahead of its time. The Maya were well known for their advanced understanding of the stars, their ability to calculate solar and lunar cycles, and their precise calendar systems. But how did they achieve such precision? Did they possess knowledge of the cosmos that was lost after the collapse of their civilization? The mysteries surrounding Tikal are not just architectural or mathematical. They are also rooted in the city's sudden and unexplained abandonment. At its peak, Tikal was a thriving hub of culture, commerce, and power. Yet, by the end of the 9th century, the city was largely abandoned. Its grand temples and palaces, once bustling with activity, now stood silent, overtaken by the relentless jungle. What could have caused such a dramatic and sudden decline? Some historians point to the internal strife between rival Maya city-states, while others suggest that environmental factors, such as prolonged drought or deforestation, may have contributed to Tikal's fall. But these explanations leave us wondering, was the fall of Tikal truly the result of human conflict or environmental collapse? Or was there something else at play, a force beyond the understanding of the Maya themselves? Adding to the intrigue is the fact that Tikal was not the only Maya city to experience such a decline during the so-called classic Maya collapse. Many other powerful cities in the Maya lowlands, including Copan, Caracol, and Calakmul, saw their populations dwindle and their monumental constructions fall into ruin during the same period. Could these cities have shared a common fate, one that goes beyond politics and climate? Some researchers speculate that the Maya might have been privy to knowledge or technologies that allowed them to build such advanced cities, yet ultimately led to their own undoing. What exactly did the Maya know, and what was lost in the collapse of Tikal and its sister cities? The mysteries of Tikal extend beyond the collapse of its civilization. The city's architectural layout itself hints at a much deeper understanding of geometry and astronomy. The alignment of Tikal's pyramids and temples suggests that the Maya had a profound connection to celestial movements. Temple Warren, for instance, is oriented toward the setting sun on the equinoxes, while other structures align with key stars or constellations. The Maya were known for their sophisticated astronomical observations, but could Tikal's layout have been part of an even larger cosmological design? Was there a deeper hidden meaning behind the way the city was built? Something that might have been lost over time or concealed by the passage of centuries? In addition to the physical layout, the placement of certain structures within the city raises further questions. Tikal's most important pyramids, such as the Temple of the Great Jaguar, are positioned in a way that seems to follow a specific pattern, perhaps mirroring the movement of celestial bodies. Some scholars have suggested that the city was laid out as a map of the heavens, an earthly representation of the cosmos itself. But could there have been a more intricate and hidden purpose behind these alignments, one that the Maya never fully revealed to the outside world? As we stand amidst the ruins of Tikal, With the dense jungle enveloping the towering temples and the echoes of the past whispering through the trees, we are left to ponder the city's true significance. The Maya were undeniably advanced in their knowledge of architecture, astronomy, and mathematics, but so much of their wisdom remains just out of reach. What secrets did the ancient builders of Tikal possess, and what knowledge did they hold that we have yet to rediscover? The city's abandonment, its architectural wonders, and the still uncertain nature of its construction all point to a deeper mystery, a story that, like the jungle surrounding it, is still slowly being uncovered, one fragment at a time. As we leave Tikal behind, we are left to wonder, what else is still hidden in the vast wilderness, waiting to be discovered beneath the roots of the ancient trees? Leaving the jungles of Tikal, we now find ourselves in the arid plains of southern Mesopotamia, where the remnants of a once great civilization rise from the dust. Here, in modern-day Iraq, the Ziggurat of Ur stands as a colossal monument to a bygone age, an enduring testament to the power and ingenuity of the Sumerians. Towering above the flat desert landscape, this massive stepped structure is all that remains of the city of Ur, once a thriving metropolis at the heart of the Sumerian Empire. The ziggurat, dedicated to the moon god Nana, was an architectural marvel of its time, one of the most ambitious and awe-inspiring constructions of the ancient world. The ziggurat itself is a breathtaking sight. Its vast, stepped terraces rise high into the air, each level slightly smaller than the one below, giving the structure the appearance of a great ascending pyramid. Originally, the ziggurat would have stood even higher, with its summit reaching well over 20 meters, though much of it has crumbled over the millennia. The structure is made of mud brick, once coated with a smooth layer of fired brick, and at the very top stood a temple dedicated to Nana, where priests would perform rituals meant to appease the gods. But as we stand before the ruins today, one question lingers. How did the Sumerians, with their limited technology, manage to construct such a massive structure in such a hostile environment? The logistics of building the ziggurat remain a mystery. The sheer scale of the project required immense resources, thousands of workers, tons of bricks, and an organizational system that seems remarkably advanced for its time. While the Sumerians had a well-developed society with skilled laborers, architects, and engineers, the ziggurat's construction challenges the limits of what we might expect for an ancient civilization. How were the heavy bricks transported to the top of the ziggurat's towering structure? Was there a secret to its construction that has been lost over time? Perhaps a method of moving materials or building techniques that we have yet to uncover? There are also unanswered questions surrounding the purpose and significance of the ziggurat itself. While it is clear that the structure served as a religious center dedicated to Nana, the moon god, some scholars suggest that the ziggurat's placement and design may have had astronomical significance as well. The Sumerians were known for their sophisticated understanding of the stars and their ability to predict celestial events. So could the ziggurat have been constructed to align with specific astronomical events, such as lunar phases or solar eclipses? The idea that the ziggurat was a kind of celestial observatory is not new, but it remains speculative. Could the structure have served not only as a religious site, but also as a mechanism to chart the heavens and mark time in ways we can only begin to understand? Another intriguing aspect of the Ziggurat of Ur is its connection to the Sumerian religious system, which was deeply intertwined with their worldview. The Sumerians believed that the gods lived in the heavens, and the ziggurat was designed as a monumental stairway to the gods. The higher you went, the closer you were to the divine. But the ziggurat's design also reflects a more pragmatic purpose. It was a symbol of the power and authority of the priesthood and the ruling class. Was the ziggurat constructed solely for religious reasons, or did it also serve as a political statement, a way for the rulers of Ur to demonstrate their power, both in this world and the next? Some historians and archaeologists have proposed that the Ziggurat of Ur might have had a more utilitarian function as well. While the massive structure certainly had religious significance, could it have also served as a center of administration or a place for storing grain and other vital resources? The Sumerians were known for their sophisticated record-keeping, and the city of Ur was a major hub for trade and commerce. Could the ziggurat have been a multifunctional complex, combining religious, political, and economic purposes in a way that we may not fully appreciate today? The decline of Ur, like so many other ancient cities, is shrouded in mystery. By around 2000 BCE, the once great city had fallen into decline, its ziggurat slowly deteriorating as the region was beset by invasions, internal strife, and changing environmental conditions. The ziggurat, once a symbol of power and divine favor, became little more than a ruin, and Ur was eventually abandoned. But what exactly led to the fall of such a powerful city? Was it the result of political upheaval, or were there environmental factors, such as changes in the course of the Euphrates River or a period of severe drought, that contributed to its decline? The fate of Ur and the ziggurat, like so many other ancient cities, remains unclear. What knowledge and secrets were lost with the fall of this once great civilization? What else might the Sumerians have known, not only about architecture and engineering, but also about the natural world, the stars, and perhaps even the forces that govern the earth itself? As we stand in the shadow of the Ziggurat of Ur, we are left to ponder the mysteries that still surround it. The grandeur of the structure, the precision of its design, and the questions that remain about its construction all point to a civilization that understood far more than we give them credit for. What was it about the Sumerians that allowed them to build such remarkable structures, and what knowledge did they possess that has since been lost? As we contemplate the towering ruins before us, we can't help but wonder. What secrets still lie buried beneath the sand waiting to be discovered? As we leave the ancient Ziggurat of Ur behind, we now journey to the heart of the Andean Mountains, where another stunning mystery awaits. Machu Picchu, one of the most iconic and enigmatic structures in the world, rises from the clouds, its stone terraces and grand temples perched high on the rugged cliffs of Peru. Hidden for centuries, it wasn't until the early 20th century that this magnificent city was rediscovered. But even today, it remains as much a symbol of awe as it is a puzzle waiting to be solved. At first glance, the sight of Machu Picchu is simply breathtaking. The city, built in the 15th century by the Inca Empire, clings to the mountainside at an elevation of nearly 2,430 meters. Surrounded by lush green valleys and towering peaks, the site is a perfect blend of natural beauty and human ingenuity. Stone terraces cascade down the steep slopes, and massive blocks of granite are meticulously fitted together to form temples, palaces, and plazas. Yet as we marvel at the grandeur of Machu Picchu, one can't help but ask, how did the Incas, without the wheel, without advanced tools, manage to construct such an impressive and enduring city in one of the most inaccessible places on Earth? The engineering prowess of the Inca people is evident in the way Machu Picchu was constructed. The stones used to build the site were quarried from a nearby mountain and shaped with remarkable precision. The famous dry stone construction technique, where blocks of stone are stacked without the use of mortar, created walls that have stood the test of time. The stones fit so perfectly together that even a thin knife blade cannot be inserted between them. How was such precision achieved without modern tools? Could the Incas have possessed a lost knowledge of construction techniques, far more advanced than what we typically attribute to pre-Columbian societies? One of the most intriguing aspects of Machu Picchu is its precise alignment with the natural world. The city appears to be carefully planned, not only for its functionality, but for its integration with the landscape and the stars. Some researchers suggest that Machu Picchu may have served as an astronomical observatory. Certain structures, like the Intihuatana stone, are believed to have been used to track the movements of the sun and stars, perhaps helping the Incas mark solstices, equinoxes, or other celestial events. The layout of the city itself seems to reflect these celestial alignments, with certain buildings and pathways pointing toward specific mountains or solar positions. Was Machu Picchu designed as a sacred site, not only for worship, but as a place where the heavens and earth converged? But even with all the information we have, there are many gaps in our understanding of Machu Picchu's true purpose. It was never mentioned in the historical accounts of Spanish conquistadors, and there is no definitive record of its function. Most scholars agree that it was likely a royal retreat, perhaps a place for the Inca Emperor Pachacuti to meditate or escape the demands of his kingdom. But the absence of solid historical records leaves the question open. Could there have been another, deeper purpose for Machu Picchu, one that remains hidden in the mists of time? The abandonment of the site, like its construction, is also shrouded in mystery. By the time the Spanish arrived in the 16th century, Machu Picchu had been largely forgotten, its location unknown to even the local people. While the Inca Empire fell to the Spanish, Machu Picchu remained untouched, hidden in the jungle for centuries. What led to the city's abandonment? Was it simply a matter of changing political power, or were there other factors at play? The Inca Empire was in a period of expansion and consolidation when Machu Picchu was built, so why would they leave such an important site behind? Even the geography of Machu Picchu raises questions. The site is located in an area that would have been difficult to access at the time, with no easy routes leading to it. How did the Incas manage to transport the massive stones and materials needed to build such a city up such steep and treacherous slopes? Were there technologies or methods of construction that have since been lost, forgotten to time? And what role did the natural environment play in the city's development? Did the Incas utilize the land's unique features in ways that we can only speculate about? Despite decades of research and study, Machu Picchu remains a place of great intrigue. The precision of its construction, its alignment with the stars, and the mysterious nature of its abandonment all point to a civilization that understood far more than we can fully comprehend. What was the true purpose of Machu Picchu? Was it simply a royal retreat, or did it hold a deeper cosmic significance? Could it have been more than just a city of stone, a spiritual center, an observatory, a place of power and knowledge that we can only begin to understand? As we stand at the edge of this ancient city, gazing out over the breathtaking views of the sacred valley below, we are reminded that even the most meticulously studied sites hold mysteries that remain unsolved. The truth of Machu Picchu, like so many other ancient wonders, may lie beyond the reach of our modern understanding. But as we look out over the lush green mountains and wonder about the hands that built such an awe-inspiring city, we are left with one simple question. What else about this place remains hidden in the shadows of the past, waiting to be uncovered? As we leave the mist-shrouded peaks of Machu Picchu behind, we journey now to the northern reaches of Europe, where another ancient mystery awaits, carved into the windswept landscape of Scotland. Here, on the remote Orkney Islands, a network of stone circles stands as a testament to a civilization long lost to time. These enigmatic structures, including the famous Ring of Brodgar and the standing stones of Stennis, rise from the earth like forgotten sentinels, silent witnesses to a world that once understood the heavens in ways we can scarcely imagine. The Orkney stone circles are scattered across the islands, with some dating back over 4,500 years, to a time long before written history. The Ring of Brodgar, one of the most impressive and well-preserved, consists of 27 towering stones arranged in a near-perfect circle. At their height, some of these stones stand over 4 meters tall, their surfaces weathered by centuries of wind and rain. The stones themselves are made from local sandstone, some of which bears faint markings, possibly symbols or carvings that remain shrouded in mystery. As you stand before the ring, surrounded by the wind-swept moorland and the distant sea, it's impossible not to wonder, how did people with no advanced tools or technology manage to transport and erect these massive stones? What drove them to build such structures in such remote, harsh conditions? The purpose of these stone circles has long been a subject of fascination and speculation. Archaeologists have established that they were likely used for ceremonial or ritualistic purposes, aligning with the changing seasons and the movements of celestial bodies. The Ring of Brodgar, for instance, is positioned in such a way that the stones align with the rising and setting sun during the solstices. This suggests that the builders had a sophisticated understanding of astronomy, using the stones as a kind of astronomical calendar to track the cycles of the sun and moon. But why did these ancient people devote so much time and effort to such precise constructions? What knowledge did they possess that has been lost to the passage of time? As we delve deeper into the mysteries of the Orkney stone circles, we begin to see that the questions go beyond mere construction techniques. The stones themselves seem to embody something far more profound, something that transcends simple functionality. Some researchers have suggested that the stones were designed to reflect the cosmos, serving as physical representations of the stars and planets. Could the circles be a map of the heavens, a way to connect the earthly realm with the divine? Or were they, as some fringe theories propose, a form of ancient communication, an early form of language encoded in stone, conveying messages we have yet to decode? There are also theories that suggest the stone circles may have served as places of ritualistic power, where the ancient inhabitants of Orkney performed ceremonies to invoke the gods or the forces of nature. But these rituals were not confined to simple religious observances. The stones themselves, some believe, may have functioned as power centers, amplifying the energies of the earth and the cosmos. Were the stone circles designed to tap into some unseen natural force, perhaps an electromagnetic or geomagnetic energy? Could these sites have had a purpose that extended beyond the spiritual, functioning as conduits for energy that the builders understood in ways we have yet to fully grasp? Despite the many hypotheses, there remains no definitive answer as to the exact function of these stone circles. The mainstream explanation, that they were places for ceremonial or religious purposes, seems plausible, yet it doesn't fully capture the grandeur or the complexity of these ancient constructions. The way the stones are arranged, their precise alignments with celestial bodies, and their apparent connection to the landscape all suggest a deeper understanding of the world, one that we are only beginning to explore. As with many ancient sites, the stone circles of Orkney also raise questions about the technological capabilities of their builders. We know that the people who constructed these circles had no iron tools, no wheeled vehicles, and no written language. So, how did they manage to quarry, transport, and erect these massive stones? Theories abound, from the use of simple levers and ropes to more fantastical ideas, such as the involvement of lost technologies or even extraterrestrial influence. While we may never know the full story behind these incredible feats of engineering, the mystery itself compels us to ask, could there be a deeper knowledge hidden in the stones themselves, waiting to be uncovered? Even the landscape around these stone circles is imbued with mystery. Orkney is a place where history, mythology, and the natural world converge. The surrounding land is dotted with burial mounds, ancient cairns, and the remains of Neolithic settlements. Some of these sites seem to mirror the stone circles, reinforcing the idea that the ancient inhabitants of Orkney had a profound connection to the land and the heavens. Could the stone circles be just one part of a much larger, interconnected system of sacred sites, each with its own unique purpose and meaning? As we stand among the stones of Orkney, with the wind whispering across the moors and the distant sea lapping at the shore, we are reminded that some mysteries are destined to remain unsolved. The stone circles, like so many other ancient wonders, challenge our understanding of the past. What knowledge did the builders of these structures possess, and why did they choose to leave behind such cryptic symbols and alignments? What secrets do the stones still hold, hidden beneath the surface, waiting to be discovered? The Orkney stone circles continue to captivate and intrigue, offering glimpses of a world that once thrived in harmony with the stars and the land. As we move on to our next mystery, we are left with the same lingering question. What might still be hidden in the ancient stones, waiting to reveal their secrets to those who dare to look? As the winds of the Orkney Islands begin to fade behind us, we now travel to the lush jungles of southern Mexico, where the ancient city of Palenque rises from the dense foliage like a forgotten jewel. Surrounded by towering trees and veiled in mist, the ruins of Palenque seem almost to breathe with the pulse of the earth itself. Hidden for centuries, and only rediscovered in the 18th century, this Maya city offers us a glimpse into a world that once flourished in the heart of Mesoamerica, a world that continues to elude our full understanding. The site is breathtaking. Nestled against the foothills of the Chiapas Mountains, Palenque boasts some of the most exquisite and intricate architecture of the Maya civilization. As we move deeper into the site, the massive stone structures begin to emerge from the shadows. The Temple of the Inscriptions, one of the most famous monuments here, stands at the heart of the city. Its towering presence is an impressive feat of engineering, constructed with precision, and its steep steps lead to a small temple atop the structure. Inside, hidden within the depths of the temple, lies the tomb of Tikal the Great, one of the most powerful rulers of the Maya, whose death mask remains one of the most iconic symbols of ancient Maya artistry. But it's not just the grandeur of the structures that draws our attention. It's the air of mystery that seems to envelop Palenque. The city flourished during the classic period of the Maya civilization, roughly between 600 and 800 CE, and it became a political, religious, and artistic hub. Yet, even as we admire its beauty, a question lingers in the air. How did the Maya achieve such a high level of sophistication? The precise construction of the temples, the elaborate hieroglyphic inscriptions, and the astronomical alignments all suggest an advanced knowledge that remains enigmatic. The tomb of Tikal the Great, discovered within the Temple of the Inscriptions in 1952, offers a tantalizing glimpse into the Maya worldview. Tikal's sarcophagus is a masterpiece of Maya art, adorned with detailed carvings that tell a story of the king's journey into the afterlife. Yet, it is the lid of the sarcophagus that has drawn the most attention. The carving depicts Tikal lying on his back, surrounded by cosmic imagery, a scene often interpreted as a depiction of his ascent to the heavens. Some believe the intricate carving shows Tikal, not as a mortal ruler, but as a cosmic being riding a spacecraft through the stars. This theory, popularized in part by the writings of Erich von Däniken, suggests that the Maya might have possessed knowledge of advanced technology or extraterrestrial visitors. While this remains highly speculative, it serves as a reminder that the true meaning behind the imagery might be far deeper than we currently understand. Beyond Tikal's tomb, the city itself raises numerous questions. The precise measurements of the buildings and their alignment with celestial events suggest that the Maya were highly attuned to the movements of the stars and planets. The Temple of the Cross, for example, is aligned with the sun's position during the equinoxes, and the city's layout seems to reflect a sophisticated understanding of astronomy. But what drove the Maya to incorporate such detailed astronomical knowledge into their architecture? Was it simply a reflection of religious belief? Or did it serve a practical, navigational, or even a symbolic purpose that we have yet to decipher? While mainstream archaeologists attribute Palenque's achievements to the extraordinary talents of the Maya, there are alternative theories that suggest other forces at play. Could the precision of the stonework and the astronomical alignments point to an unknown, lost technology? Some have speculated that the Maya, or perhaps their predecessors, had access to knowledge that modern historians and archaeologists are only beginning to understand. Was there a forgotten civilization that passed down its wisdom to the Maya, or did the Maya develop these advancements entirely on their own? The idea that the city's builders had access to secret knowledge, whether through long-lost techniques or even external influence, raises intriguing possibilities, ones that we are only beginning to explore. One of the most compelling aspects of Palenque, however, is the way it was abandoned. Around 800 CE, Palenque entered a period of decline, with many of its monuments left unfinished and its once thriving population beginning to disperse. The reasons for this decline are still unclear. Was it internal conflict, economic collapse, or environmental factors such as drought or deforestation? Or did something more mysterious drive the city's fall? Like so many other ancient sites, the abandonment of Palenque remains an open question, leaving us to wonder what knowledge, wisdom, or power might have been lost when the city was left to the jungle. Adding to the intrigue is the ongoing study of Palenque's intricate hieroglyphic inscriptions. The Maya were among the most advanced societies in terms of written language, and the walls of the Temple of the Inscriptions are covered with glyphs that offer a rich history of the city's rulers, its cosmology, and its rituals. Yet, despite significant progress in deciphering the Maya script, much of the text remains elusive. What do these carvings really mean, and how much of their true significance has been obscured by time? Standing in the shadow of these ancient temples, we are reminded of how much remains hidden from us. Palenque, like many other ancient wonders, challenges our understanding of the past. The city's sophisticated architecture, its celestial alignments, and its mysterious decline all point to a civilization that was far more complex than we often give it credit for. Could the Maya have known more about the cosmos, about the forces of nature, or even about the Earth's hidden energies than we realize? As we ponder the mysteries of Palenque, we are left with a sense of awe and wonder. What else might the jungle hold, buried beneath centuries of growth? What ancient secrets remain hidden in the carvings on the temple walls or in the dark recesses of Tikal's tomb? The city's story is far from complete, and as we continue our exploration, we are reminded that some of the greatest mysteries are those that have yet to be fully uncovered. Leaving the grandeur of Palenque behind, we turn our gaze southward to the wind-swept plains and dramatic landscapes of Argentina. Here, deep in the Patagonian wilderness, lies a site that draws us back to the earliest echoes of humanity's artistic expression, the Cueva de las Manos, or Cave of Hands. Situated on the cliffs of the Rio Pinturas, this remarkable cave system holds some of the oldest and most enigmatic art ever discovered. As we approach the cave, the first thing that strikes you is the stark contrast between the natural world and the human handprints that adorn its walls. These images, made thousands of years ago, are more than just marks on stone. They are windows into the minds of people who lived in a distant, unknown past. The cave walls are decorated with hundreds of handprints, some of which are more than 9,000 years old. These handprints are not just simple stencils. They are deliberate, vivid expressions. The technique is both simple and striking. Using red ochre, the artists would place their hands against the stone and blow pigment around their fingers to leave an outline. The result is a hauntingly personal and powerful record of human presence, as though the hands of those who created them are reaching out across time. But what compelled these ancient people to leave such a mark? And why are these handprints so significant in the context of early human culture? While handprints are not unique to Cueva de las Manos, the site stands out for the sheer number and the way the hands are arranged. There are hands of all sizes, large, small, with some set high on the walls and others down low. suggesting they were left by both adults and children. In some cases, multiple hands are placed together in clusters, which seems to imply a communal act of creation. Could this have been a ritualistic act, a form of connection to the spirits or the land itself? Or were these handprints part of a larger, symbolic gesture that we are only beginning to understand? The meaning behind these images remains shrouded in mystery. The fact that these markings were made in a remote, almost inaccessible location raises an intriguing question. What were the creators of these handprints trying to communicate? Some researchers suggest that these handprints were part of a religious or ceremonial ritual. The placement of the handprints, many of them high up on the walls or in locations that would have been difficult to reach, hints at an intention to leave something behind for a higher power or as a form of ancestral tribute. Was this cave a sacred site, a place where the boundary between the physical world and the spiritual world was believed to be thinner? The more you examine the cave, the more questions arise. Alongside the handprints, there are also depictions of animals, including guanacos, rheas, and other wildlife native to the region. These images, painted with the same ochre pigment, are carefully detailed and appear to tell a story of the people's environment, hunting practices, and daily life. But these images also raise new questions. Why are certain animals depicted in such vivid detail while others, like human figures, are absent? Was this artistic focus on animals symbolic, or was it a record of the spiritual significance these creatures held for the ancient people? The location of the cave itself adds another layer of intrigue. Nestled deep in a remote region of Argentina, the cave is far from any known settlements of the time. How did the people who created these handprints find their way to such a hidden place? The act of traveling to such a location suggests a purposeful journey, but why would these early humans venture so far to make their marks? Was the cave, as some speculate, seen as a place where the forces of nature were particularly potent? Perhaps it was believed that by leaving their handprints there, they could imbue the site with their own energy or seal their connection to the land. Another curious aspect of Cueva de las Manos is the technology used to create these images. The pigment used, ochre, was likely collected from local sources and mixed with saliva to create the paint. This simple yet effective technique speaks to an intimate knowledge of the natural world and a resourcefulness that is often overlooked when discussing early human civilizations. The fact that the images have survived for thousands of years in this harsh environment is a testament not only to the durability of the materials used, but also to the foresight of the creators who left behind something that would endure across the millennia. And yet, despite the detailed examinations, there is much that remains speculative. While the basic techniques used to create the images are understood, the exact purpose and symbolism of the handprints and animal depictions remain elusive. Some archaeologists suggest that the handprints may have had a more personal, even familial meaning. Were these markings a way of asserting identity, of saying, "We were here"? Could they have represented a deeper, more existential connection to the land, the animals, and the forces that governed their lives? What's equally fascinating is the theory that these early artists may have been part of a much larger network of cultural and spiritual practices. The art in Cueva de las Manos is just one example of the broader tradition of cave art that spans across the globe. Could there have been a shared understanding of symbolism and ritual between the people of South America and those in distant caves in Europe or Africa? Could these handprints be a universal expression, transcending time and geography, of a shared human desire to leave a mark on the world, a way of ensuring that one's existence is remembered? As we stand before these ancient handprints, it's clear that Cueva de las Manos holds many secrets. The handprints themselves, though simple in form, are a testament to the creativity, spirituality, and resourcefulness of the people who left them. But what do they truly represent? Were they simply a way to commemorate a moment, or do they reflect a deeper, more profound connection to the earth and the cosmos? Perhaps, As we look back at these ancient markings, we are not just gazing at art, but at a conversation across time, one that continues to ask, and perhaps will always ask, questions that remain unanswered. Leaving behind the deep reaches of Argentina's Cueva de las Manos, we now turn our focus to a vastly different but equally enigmatic place: Great Zimbabwe. Situated in the heart of southern Africa, this ancient site rises from the dry plains like a monumental mystery, its weathered stone walls standing as silent witnesses to a civilization that once thrived here. Great Zimbabwe is not just the name of the ruins themselves, it is a testament to the power, complexity, and mystery of a long-lost empire. But who built it? And what was the purpose of the massive stone structures that continue to defy modern understanding? At its peak, Great Zimbabwe was the heart of a powerful kingdom, believed to have flourished between the 11th and 15th centuries. The city stretches across an impressive 80 hectares, dominated by the massive stone enclosures and towering walls that have earned it a place as one of the most stunning archaeological sites in Africa. The Great Enclosure, the largest of the stone structures, is a marvel of dry stone construction. The massive walls curve and undulate, their stones fitting together with such precision that no mortar was needed to hold them in place. Some of the walls stand over 5 meters high, and the largest of the enclosures is believed to have been a royal residence or a religious center. But as awe-inspiring as the size and craftsmanship of the walls are, it's the mystery surrounding their construction and purpose that draws us in. How did the people of Great Zimbabwe, without the use of wheels or advanced tools, construct such an immense and precise structure? The massive stones, many of which weigh several tons, were transported from quarries miles away. Was this feat accomplished through simple methods such as levers and ramps, or is there something more to the story, something yet to be fully understood? The construction techniques used at Great Zimbabwe remain a subject of intense debate among archaeologists. Some believe that the site was built by a sophisticated, indigenous African civilization with knowledge of advanced engineering principles, a notion that challenges the outdated belief that sub-Saharan Africa was devoid of such technological advancements. Others, however, propose alternative theories. Could there have been external influences at play, or even lost technologies that have since been forgotten? What knowledge did the builders of Great Zimbabwe possess that allowed them to create such a lasting legacy? The city's design also raises questions. The great enclosure's walls, while beautifully constructed, do not follow any simple geometric pattern, suggesting that the builders had a deep understanding of spatial organization and architectural design. The structures within the site, including the famous conical tower, which stands as a symbol of the kingdom, are aligned in such a way that some researchers suggest they may have been designed to reflect the stars or the movement of the sun. Did the builders of Great Zimbabwe incorporate astronomical knowledge into the layout of their city, or was it more about symbolism and power? The tower itself is particularly intriguing. Its purpose remains unclear. Was it a grain silo, a symbol of royal authority, or perhaps a ceremonial structure? As with many aspects of Great Zimbabwe, the true meaning remains elusive. And then there is the question of the site's eventual decline. By the 15th century, Great Zimbabwe was abandoned, its once thriving trade routes and powerful influence in the region gradually fading away. The reasons behind this decline remain speculative. Was it due to overpopulation, environmental degradation, or the shifting of trade routes? Some have suggested that the city's fall could be linked to climate change, as prolonged droughts may have made it difficult to sustain the population. Others propose a more socio-political explanation, perhaps internal conflict or the rise of competing kingdoms. Yet, despite these theories, no single explanation fully accounts for the dramatic decline of one of Africa's most advanced ancient civilizations. What makes Great Zimbabwe particularly intriguing is the lack of written records that could shed light on its history. Unlike other ancient civilizations, there are no written texts or inscriptions that directly explain the site's construction or the identity of its builders. Most of what we know about the site comes from archaeological evidence, oral traditions, and the writings of outsiders who encountered the ruins centuries after the kingdom had fallen. This absence of a definitive historical record only adds to the mystery of Great Zimbabwe. Who were the people who built this city, and why did they leave it behind? The significance of Great Zimbabwe extends beyond its architectural wonders. The city was a hub of trade and commerce, with evidence of connections to distant lands, including the Swahili coast and even Asia. Archaeological finds of pottery, beads, and other artifacts suggest that Great Zimbabwe was part of a larger network of trade routes that spanned the Indian Ocean. This raises another tantalizing question. How far did the influence of Great Zimbabwe reach? Were there exchanges of knowledge, goods, and ideas between this ancient kingdom and other civilizations, or did they keep their accomplishments hidden from the outside world? The mysteries of Great Zimbabwe have not gone unnoticed. Over the years, many fringe theories have emerged, suggesting everything from lost ancient civilizations to extraterrestrial involvement. While these ideas remain speculative, they reflect the enduring fascination with the site's grandeur and the seeming impossibility of its construction. How could a civilization without the wheel, without iron tools, build such a vast and complex city? As we stand amidst the ruins of Great Zimbabwe, the unanswered questions linger in the air. The stone walls seem to hold secrets, and the city's silence speaks of a time long past, yet full of significance. What knowledge did the builders of this remarkable city possess? What purpose did the great enclosure serve, and why was it abandoned? And, most importantly, what more about the kingdom's history remains hidden beneath the soil of Zimbabwe, waiting to be discovered? These questions remain unresolved, and perhaps they always will. Yet, as we continue our journey through the ancient world, Great Zimbabwe serves as a powerful reminder that there are still many mysteries left to uncover. The echoes of a once great civilization call out to us, urging us to look deeper, to question more, and to seek the truth hidden in the stones of the past. From the rugged hills of Zimbabwe, we journey now to the arid deserts of Oman, where the shifting sands conceal one of the most tantalizing mysteries of the ancient world. Here, beneath the endless expanse of golden dunes, lies the fabled city of Ubar, often referred to as the Atlantis of the Sands. For centuries, the story of Ubar has captivated explorers, scholars, and adventurers alike, lured by the promise of a once great civilization swallowed by the desert. But did Ubar ever truly exist? Or is it a legend born from myth and imagination? And if it did, what secrets did it harbor before it vanished? The legend of Ubar first gained widespread attention through the writings of the Quran, which speaks of a powerful, prosperous city known for its wealth, luxury, and arrogance, only to be struck down by divine retribution, swallowed whole by the earth. But the city's origins and its true location have been shrouded in mystery for millennia. Was Ubar a real place, or a fictional story crafted by ancient storytellers? Over the years, the hunt for Ubar has led many to the vast Rub al-Khali, also known as the Empty Quarter, the largest continuous sand desert in the world. It is here, among the towering dunes and barren landscapes, that the city is said to have once stood. In 1992, a team of archaeologists and explorers, using satellite imagery, claimed to have found evidence of a large, ancient settlement buried deep beneath the sands, near the modern-day border between Oman and Saudi Arabia. They discovered the remains of what appeared to be a vast city, complete with roads, structures, and what seemed to be remnants of advanced water systems, an oasis amid the unforgiving desert. Could this be Ubar, the city of legend, or is it merely a mirage, a product of our collective desire to uncover something profound and elusive? The most striking feature of these discoveries is the extraordinary engineering found in the site. The structures, built with large stone blocks, appear to follow sophisticated architectural patterns. Some suggest that the city's design could reflect a level of urban planning far beyond the capabilities of its time, possibly linked to trade routes that crossed the Arabian Peninsula, making Ubar a center of wealth and culture. The question remains: how did a civilization in such a harsh, arid environment manage to construct such a sophisticated city? And why, if it was indeed a great trading hub, has it left behind so little evidence of its existence? Adding to the mystery are the remains of what seemed to be an advanced system of water management. Several large cisterns, canals, and irrigation channels have been uncovered at the site, suggesting that the people of Ubar had a remarkable understanding of hydrology. Given the inhospitable desert landscape, how were they able to source and preserve such valuable water? Was their knowledge of water systems passed down through generations, or did it come from a more mysterious, perhaps even forgotten, source of knowledge? Some have even speculated that the city's inhabitants may have discovered ways to harness the desert's natural resources with techniques that have been lost to time. Yet, despite these remarkable discoveries, the true identity of Ubar remains elusive. Some scholars argue that the ruins uncovered in the desert are simply the remains of a different ancient settlement, one that existed long before the legends of Ubar ever took shape. Others propose that the city of Ubar could have been a series of smaller, interconnected settlements rather than a single metropolis, and that over time, the legend grew to encompass all these places. Could the true nature of Ubar be more complex than the stories of a single doomed city? Intriguingly, the archaeological evidence found in Oman does not conclusively identify the city as Ubar, and some researchers remain cautious, suggesting that the city described in ancient texts may still be out there, hidden beneath layers of sand yet to be uncovered. The idea that Ubar was swallowed by the earth, as described in the Quran and other ancient sources, also raises questions about the nature of the site. Could the desert's shifting sands be responsible for erasing all traces of this once great city, as if it had been deliberately hidden from view? As with many ancient mysteries, the search for Ubar touches on the intersection between fact and legend. While the evidence suggests that there was indeed a large and significant settlement in the desert, whether it was the fabled city of Ubar or another, as yet unidentified, civilization is still a matter of debate. The connection between Ubar's supposed wealth and its eventual destruction adds another layer of intrigue. Could the city's arrogance and overconfidence, as described in the legends, have played a role in its downfall? And if so, was this simply a mythological embellishment, or was there a real event, a natural disaster, an invasion, or some other catastrophe that led to its demise? The exploration of Ubar brings us face to face with a fundamental question that pervades much of human history. How much of our past remains hidden, buried beneath the surface, waiting to be discovered? Even today, there are places where the sands of time have yet to reveal their secrets. The quest for Ubar is as much about the search for knowledge as it is about understanding the very nature of history itself, the stories we tell and the ones we leave untold. As we pause in our journey through the shifting desert landscape, we are left with more questions than answers. What if the city of Ubar, with all its secrets and wonders, is still out there, waiting to be found? What other lost civilizations lie beneath the sands of the empty quarter, hidden from view, their stories lost to time? And perhaps most importantly, what lessons can we learn from these vanished civilizations, whose rise and fall remain an enduring mystery? As we leave the vast, barren landscapes of Oman behind, our journey takes us to a lush, tropical island in Southeast Asia, Java, Indonesia. Here, nestled in the fertile plains near the town of Magelang, rises one of the most majestic and enigmatic structures in the world, Candi Borobudur. This colossal Buddhist temple complex, built sometime during the 8th or 9th century, is an architectural masterpiece, and yet, like so many ancient wonders, it remains a riddle wrapped in mystery. How was such an immense structure created in an era without advanced technology? What secrets lie hidden within its stone walls, waiting to be uncovered? Standing before Borobudur, one cannot help but be struck by its sheer scale. The temple, composed of 6 square platforms and 3 circular ones, rises nearly 35 meters into the air, with over 500 statues of the Buddha scattered across its terraces. Its design is a harmonious blend of art, architecture, and spirituality, yet the sheer ambition of its construction raises immediate questions. How did the builders of Borobudur, armed with only primitive tools and a rudimentary understanding of engineering, manage to construct such a monumental structure with such precision? And more importantly, how did they manage to carry out the task in a region where the resources required, such as limestone, had to be sourced from distant quarries? The most immediate question, however, is the purpose of Borobudur itself. Unlike many other ancient structures that were built for political or military purposes, Borobudur's raison d'etre appears to be spiritual in nature. The temple is a journey, not just for the body, but for the soul. Pilgrims who approach the monument ascend its terraces in a symbolic walk towards enlightenment, following a path of relief carvings that depict the life of the Buddha, leading ultimately to a central dome surrounded by smaller stupas. It is a structure that embodies the very principles of Buddhist cosmology, with the lower terraces symbolizing the world of desire, and the upper terraces representing the attainment of enlightenment. But could there be a deeper, hidden meaning behind its design? While the temple's symbolism and connection to Buddhist teachings are clear, the specifics of its construction remain shrouded in mystery. The most obvious puzzle is its sheer scale. Borobudur consists of over 2 million stone blocks, which, even with modern technology, would present a monumental challenge to transport, shape, and assemble. And yet, these blocks were moved, cut, and fitted together without mortar, and the precision of the construction remains remarkable even by today's standards. Some scholars suggest that the workers who built Borobudur used a simple system of ramps and levers, but the logistics of transporting and stacking stones that weigh several tons each is still baffling. How did they do it? There's also the mystery of the lost history surrounding Borobudur. Despite its size and prominence, the temple was abandoned for centuries, forgotten by the very people who once revered it. It was only rediscovered in the early 19th century, buried beneath layers of volcanic ash and jungle overgrowth. But why was it abandoned in the first place? Theories abound. Some say it was due to the decline of the Sailendra dynasty, while others propose that shifts in religious and political power may have led to the temple's neglect. But there are also more speculative explanations, including the theory that the temple's complex layout was so intertwined with esoteric knowledge that it was intentionally hidden from the outside world. Could Borobudur be more than just a religious monument? Could it be a key to a forgotten understanding of the cosmos, one that was deliberately sealed away from the eyes of history? One of the most intriguing aspects of Borobudur is the mystery surrounding its alignment. The temple's central axis runs in an east-west direction, and its design has been shown to align with celestial bodies, such as the position of the sun at solstice and equinox. Some researchers suggest that Borobudur was intentionally constructed to track the movements of the stars and planets as a sort of astronomical observatory. If true, this would indicate that the builders of Borobudur possessed advanced knowledge of astronomy, perhaps even more sophisticated than what was known to other civilizations of the time. How did this knowledge manifest in the temple's design, and what significance did it hold for the people of the era? There are also those who speculate that Borobudur is more than just a physical monument. Perhaps it is also a map of the universe, encoded in stone. The temple's layered design, with its ascending terraces and the gradual narrowing of the structure as one approaches the central stupa, mirrors the Buddhist concept of the universe, from the material world to the realm of nirvana. But could this also be a representation of something deeper, an ancient understanding of the natural and cosmic forces that shape our world? Was Borobudur designed not only to guide the soul to enlightenment, but also to unlock the mysteries of the universe itself? Despite these theories, one thing is clear. Borobudur is no ordinary temple. Its construction, its purpose, and its symbolism are woven together in such a way that they transcend simple religious practice. The idea that a complex civilization could build such a monument in relative isolation without the advanced tools or techniques that we take for granted today leaves one wondering, how much more knowledge was lost with the fall of the Sailendra dynasty? And perhaps more importantly, what hidden truths might still be embedded within the walls of Borobudur, waiting for future generations to uncover? In the end, Candi Borobudur stands as a powerful reminder of the mysteries of the ancient world. Its design and purpose continue to invite exploration, challenging our understanding of what was possible in a time long past. As we leave this awe-inspiring monument behind, we are left with the quiet certainty that the answers may not lie on the surface. Perhaps the most profound mysteries of Borobudur are still buried beneath its ancient stone, waiting for us to unlock them. As we journey from the tropics of Indonesia to the cool, wind-swept shores of northern Ireland, we encounter one of the most curious and awe-inspiring natural formations in the world, the Giant's Causeway. Stretching across the rugged coastline like a vast geometric mosaic, the Giant's Causeway is a striking landscape of over 40,000 interlocking basalt columns, each perfectly formed and precisely aligned, as though created by an unseen hand. But who, or what, was responsible for this natural wonder? And could its construction be more than just the work of natural forces? The causeway's columns, tall hexagonal pillars of stone, extend along the coast, their orderly arrangement almost too perfect to be a mere accident of geology. These formations seem so deliberate, so structured, that it is easy to be swept into the belief that they must have been crafted by human hands, or something more otherworldly. According to local legend, the causeway was built by the giant Fionn mac Cumhail, a mythical figure in Irish folklore. Fionn, in the tale, created the causeway as a pathway to Scotland, where he would confront his rival, Benandonner. But how does this folk story compare to the geological reality of the site? Geologically speaking, the Giant's Causeway was formed around 60 million years ago, during the Paleogene period, when volcanic activity erupted across the region. As the lava cooled, it contracted in a manner that caused the formation of the hexagonal shapes that we see today. It's a fascinating example of nature's artistry, yet even in the light of this explanation, the site holds an almost mystical air. Why do these columns appear so remarkably uniform in their size and shape? How could something so random and chaotic as volcanic eruption result in such mathematical precision? Some might dismiss the question as purely aesthetic, the result of nature's often surprising ability to create striking patterns. But could there be something more to this formation? Something that stretches beyond our understanding of natural processes? For instance, the alignment of the columns is so striking that they seem to form a purposeful design, almost as if they were intended to support something far more complex than the random flow of lava. Could there be an unknown force, something we've yet to fully grasp, that directed the lava in this specific pattern? Could the site of the causeway's symmetry be a coincidence, or does it hint at a deeper, more hidden truth? Adding to the mystery is the connection between the Giant's Causeway and its counterpart on the Scottish coast, the Fingal's Cave, located on the uninhabited island of Staffa. The columns there are similarly hexagonal, suggesting that both formations were once part of a larger, connected landmass before the forces of nature, erosion, tectonic shifts, separated them. The symmetry between the two locations suggests that the causeway wasn't a localized phenomenon, but rather a part of a much larger geological event. What prompted these extraordinary formations to emerge, and why do they appear in these isolated places, as if nature itself was attempting to leave behind a clue to something greater? Some have suggested that the perfect alignment of the columns could be a coincidence. After all, nature does have a way of surprising us. But others have raised more speculative ideas. Could the causeway be evidence of a lost civilization, one that possessed advanced knowledge of architecture, geometry, and stonecraft? The precision of the columns, after all, is remarkable, and the location of the causeway along an isolated stretch of coastline only adds to the sense of mystery. Could these stones have been used by a people who once lived here, or perhaps who knew secrets of the Earth's forces that we have long forgotten? Is it possible that the builders of the causeway's columns knew how to harness the volcanic forces to craft something as magnificent as this? One of the most intriguing theories posits that the Giant's Causeway was used as an ancient place of worship or as a ceremonial site. The site's isolated nature, the perfect symmetry of the columns, and the nearby landscape, complete with caves and ancient ruins, suggest that it could have been used by a long-lost people who understood its natural power and significance. But was the causeway a mere backdrop for rituals? Or did the columns themselves hold some deeper meaning for those who once lived here? Despite these theories, the mystery surrounding the Giant's Causeway endures. The geology behind its formation is well understood, yet the allure of its perfect, almost supernatural design remains irresistible. Could the site have been the result of natural forces alone? Or was there a guiding hand behind its creation? The ancient stories of giants, of supernatural beings who shaped the land, echo through time, leaving us to wonder whether there is more to the causeway than meets the eye. Standing at the edge of the causeway, gazing out at the rolling waves that crash against the stones, we are left with more questions than answers. The mystery of the Giant's Causeway may never be fully unraveled. What we do know is that this extraordinary landscape, its perfect geometric columns, its connection to the myth of Fionn mac Cumhail, its stunning beauty, continues to inspire awe, contemplation, and wonder. What is the true story behind the Giant's Causeway, and what secrets remain hidden in its perfectly formed stones? As we leave this extraordinary sight behind, we are reminded that the Earth, in all its complexity, still holds countless mysteries, waiting for us to explore, to question, and to understand. Could there be more hidden in the natural world than we realize, waiting for the right moment to be discovered? And if so, what other megalithic wonders, like the Giant's Causeway, might still be waiting to reveal their secrets? As we move forward in our exploration of ancient megalithic structures that challenge our understanding of what was possible in the distant past, we turn our attention to Egypt, a land steeped in mystery and replete with monuments that have baffled historians and archaeologists for centuries. Among these, one structure stands out not just for its size and shape, but for its enigmatic origins and the questions that still linger about how it came to be. Shunet el-Zebib. Located in the western Nile Delta, Shunet el-Zebib is a massive, almost otherworldly complex, often overshadowed by the more famous pyramids of Giza. Its name translates roughly to the Tomb of the Grape, though the reasons for this are unclear. What is clear, however, is that the structure's scale and design suggest something far beyond the simple mortuary function it is often assigned. As we approach the site, the first thing that strikes you is its sheer size, a sprawling complex of mud brick walls with towering fortifications that once enclosed a vast area. It sits, almost hauntingly, amid the sparse desert landscape, as though it has been waiting for millennia to reveal its true purpose. Unlike the smooth, polished stone structures of the more famous pyramids, Shunet el-Zebib is built primarily from mud brick, which, over time, has eroded and weathered. Yet the remnants of its once formidable walls suggest a construction project of extraordinary ambition, one that must have required immense resources, a high level of organization, and, perhaps most intriguingly, a deep understanding of engineering techniques that would later come to define the great monuments of ancient Egypt. How was such a monumental structure built with materials that seemed so vulnerable to time? Could it be that the builders of Shunet el-Zebib had access to knowledge or methods that were lost or forgotten in the centuries that followed? Theories abound as to the purpose of Shunet el-Zebib. Most archaeologists agree that it was constructed during the reign of Pharaoh Khafre of the Second Dynasty, as part of his efforts to consolidate power and unify Upper and Lower Egypt. It is believed to have functioned as a royal funerary complex, perhaps even as the burial place for the pharaoh himself. The impressive size and structure of the site suggest it was not only meant to honor the dead, but also to serve as a statement of political and spiritual power. Yet, the true significance of Shunet el-Zebib remains elusive. What, if anything, does it reveal about the relationship between Egypt's early rulers and the gods they sought to align themselves with? One of the most perplexing aspects of Shunet el-Zebib is its design. While the structure does contain elements typical of Egyptian tombs, such as the enclosure of a burial chamber, the complexity of the layout and the presence of multiple courtyards, temples, and walls suggest that its role may have been far more intricate than originally thought. Some speculate that Shunet el-Zebib was not merely a tomb, but a grand ceremonial center used for rituals and religious observances that are no longer fully understood. Could it have been a center of political or military power, designed not only to honor the dead, but to reinforce the authority of the living rulers? The presence of defensive walls, for example, might suggest that it had a protective function, possibly to safeguard sacred objects or individuals. Further complicating the mystery are the strange and unusual features of the complex, such as the fact that the structure was seemingly abandoned almost as quickly as it was built. It was never fully completed, and its intended purpose remains unclear. Was this abrupt abandonment the result of internal strife, the fall of Khafre's dynasty, or some external force, such as an invasion or natural disaster? Or was the site left incomplete intentionally, perhaps due to a shift in political or religious priorities? If Shunet el-Zebib had been constructed with such effort and dedication, why was it so quickly abandoned? What was it about this structure that caused its sudden disuse? Some more speculative theories suggest that Shunet el-Zebib might have had a connection to something more mysterious, a kind of advanced knowledge that transcended the ordinary religious or political aims of the time. Could it have served as an astronomical observatory, aligned with celestial events? Or might it have contained hidden chambers that held sacred relics or texts, now lost to time? We might also wonder if its design holds a deeper symbolic meaning, perhaps a representation of cosmic order or divine power that is no longer understood by modern scholars. Despite these theories, Shunet el-Zebib's true purpose remains a shadowy enigma. The lack of inscriptions, artifacts, or other clear indicators of its function only deepens the mystery. It's as if the structure itself was designed to obscure its true nature, its walls holding secrets that have yet to be unlocked. And while Egyptologists continue to study the site, there is a sense that it holds something just beyond our grasp, a clue or revelation that could illuminate the early years of Egypt's grand civilization in ways we have yet to comprehend. As we stand on the edge of the site, gazing at the remains of its towering mud-brick walls, we are reminded of how much of human history remains hidden beneath the surface. Shunet el-Zebib, like so many ancient structures, beckons us to look deeper, into the past, into the unknown, and to ask the questions that still linger. What did the ancient Egyptians know, and why has it been forgotten? What secrets does Shunet el-Zebib hold, and who or what was responsible for its creation? These questions remain unanswered, and it is possible that we may never fully understand the true significance of this ancient structure. But the mystery persists, inviting further investigation and speculation. What lies beyond the walls of Shunet el-Zebib, waiting to be discovered? As we continue our journey through the enigmatic and awe-inspiring structures of the ancient world, we find ourselves in the jungles of southern Mexico, where the Olmec civilization once flourished. It was here, deep in the heart of Veracruz and Tabasco, that the Olmec left behind one of the most curious and puzzling legacies: the colossal stone heads. These massive sculptures, weighing several tons and standing up to 10 feet tall, have captured the imagination of historians, archaeologists, and even conspiracy theorists for centuries. What drove the Olmec to carve such monumental likenesses of their rulers or gods? How did they manage to transport and sculpt these heavy basalt blocks with tools that seem woefully inadequate by today's standards? And what mysteries still surround these ancient giants, whose faces gaze out over the dense green expanse of the Mexican lowlands? The first thing that strikes you when you stand before an Olmec colossal head is its sheer size. Each one, carved from a single block of basalt, presents a solemn, almost otherworldly visage. The faces are characterized by strong, exaggerated features: broad, flat noses, full lips, and large, expressive eyes. These heads are thought to represent rulers, though some believe they may depict gods or mythological figures. The fact that the heads share similar features has led scholars to suggest they are stylized portraits, possibly of individual rulers, or perhaps a standardized representation of Olmec power itself. But it is not just the scale or artistry that makes these sculptures intriguing. It is the craftsmanship and effort required to create them. The heads were not simply carved from local stone. Most of the basalt used came from quarries hundreds of miles away, making the transportation of these massive stones an incredible feat in itself. Without the aid of wheels or advanced machinery, the Olmec would have had to devise ingenious methods to transport these colossal blocks across challenging terrain. Some believe they may have used rafts to float the stones along rivers, while others suggest they employed an extensive network of manpower, ropes, and rolling logs. But despite these ideas, the logistics of moving such enormous objects remains largely speculative. How were these massive blocks transported with such precision and speed, and why go through such labor for a series of sculptures that might have been destroyed, buried, or abandoned over time? The carvings also present a mystery in their craftsmanship. The heads themselves are finely detailed, each individual face expressing an almost lifelike quality that suggests not only technical skill, but a deep understanding of proportion and form. Yet, these sculptures were created at a time when the Olmec people are believed to have had no access to metal tools, only stone, wood, and bone. How, then, did they achieve such remarkable precision, particularly when cutting through such a hard material as basalt? One theory posits that the Olmec may have used a method known as abrasion, grinding away the stone slowly with harder rocks, though this would have been an incredibly time-consuming and labor-intensive process. Another theory suggests they may have used a lost technique, the knowledge of which was eventually lost or forgotten over time. What tools did the Olmec have, and what secrets of their craft have been lost to history? Another puzzling element of the colossal heads is their alignment and placement. The heads are scattered across several Olmec sites, including San Lorenzo, La Venta, and Tres Zapote, and many are found near ceremonial centers or sunken plazas. Some scholars believe that the positioning of the heads was intentional, meant to mark important locations or serve as a type of ancestral reverence. Could the heads have been strategically placed to align with celestial events or serve as symbols of political or spiritual power? The fact that each head is oriented differently, some looking east, others west, suggests that they may have had a deeper connection to the movement of the sun or the stars, an idea that has yet to be definitively proven. Adding to the intrigue is the possibility that the Olmec heads are not just representations of specific rulers, but symbols of an earlier, more ancient tradition of leadership. Some fringe theories suggest that these heads could be part of a wider, pre-Olmec tradition, perhaps a part of a lost civilization or an even more mysterious culture. Could the Olmec heads be the remnants of a time long forgotten, serving as a record of a vanished people who passed down their knowledge to the Olmec civilization? Could these sculptures be part of a global pattern of megalithic artistry, aligning the Olmec with other ancient cultures that similarly used massive stonework to signify power, knowledge, and divine favor? There are also those who speculate that the heads may have had a supernatural purpose, an interpretation linked to the Olmec's complex religious practices. In the Olmec world, jaguars, serpents, and other animals were believed to embody divine forces, and the colossal heads could be linked to a pantheon of gods that embodied earthly and celestial powers. Were the heads, then, more than just portraits of kings? Were they an attempt to harness divine power, creating an unbreakable connection between the rulers and the gods, or even to immortalize their essence in stone? Given the Olmec's role as one of the first major Mesoamerican civilizations, could they have been laying the groundwork for the religious and political systems that would later define the Maya, Aztec, and other great cultures of the Americas? Yet, despite the many theories, the true meaning behind the colossal heads remains elusive. We are left with questions that we may never fully answer. How were these extraordinary works of art created with such precision and scale? What was their true purpose? And why were they seemingly abandoned or buried in some cases, only to be rediscovered centuries later? Standing before these ancient faces, one can't help but feel that we are staring into the eyes of a civilization that, while long gone, still holds pieces of its puzzle just out of reach. Perhaps one day, the answers to these questions will emerge. But for now, the Olmec colossal heads stand as a powerful reminder of how much of our shared history remains hidden, waiting to be uncovered. If only we can unlock their secrets. As we turn our gaze to the remote, windswept hills of northeastern Brazil, we find ourselves standing on the edge of a vast, unexplored expanse, an area so rich in ancient secrets that it has become a treasure trove for archaeologists and historians alike. Serra da Capivara, a national park nestled in the semi-arid landscape of the state of Piauí, is home to one of the most fascinating and mysterious collections of prehistoric rock art in the world. Here, amidst jagged cliffs and rolling hills, lie over 30,000 petroglyphs, ancient images that stretch back more than 25,000 years, offering us a glimpse into a past that is both astonishingly distant and startlingly modern. The images themselves are as varied as they are captivating. Depictions of animals, some now extinct, are etched onto the rocks. Giant sloths, mammoths, and armadillos once roamed this land, and their presence is immortalized in the rock faces, providing a glimpse into the wildlife of an era long past. But the art is not limited to simple animal forms. There are images of humans, their bodies contorted into strange, ritualistic poses, their hands raised in seemingly symbolic gestures. Some figures appear to be engaged in dance or ceremony, while others carry weapons or appear to communicate with the creatures around them. What do these figures represent? What rituals or beliefs drove the people who created them to carve these images into the stone? And why were these particular scenes chosen to be preserved for eternity? Perhaps the most intriguing mystery lies in the question of who these people were. Modern archaeological understanding places the first inhabitants of Serra da Capivara at around 25,000 years ago. Yet some researchers have proposed much earlier dates for the petroglyphs, suggesting a much deeper connection between these ancient peoples and the landscape they inhabited. How could people living in such an isolated, harsh environment have created these stunning works of art with such detail and precision, especially given the technological limitations of the time? Was there a lost, advanced culture that preceded the well-known civilizations of South America, one whose knowledge and creativity have long since vanished, leaving behind only these cryptic images? As the petroglyphs tell their stories, the question of how these artworks were made becomes an enigma in itself. With no written language, no tools of metal, and no significant natural resources at their disposal, how did the people of Serra da Capivara carve their complex images into the hard rock surfaces? The method most commonly attributed to these ancient artisans is abrasion, the rubbing of harder stones against softer surfaces, but even this technique raises questions. The petroglyphs are incredibly precise, with fine lines and intricate details that would have been nearly impossible to achieve using primitive tools. Could these early inhabitants have known something about stone carving or abrasives that we no longer understand? Or was there something more to their methods, something that has been lost to time? The mystery deepens when we consider the geographic context of Serra da Capivara. The petroglyphs are found across a vast expanse of cliffs and rock faces, spread over hundreds of miles in an area that was once part of a lush, verdant landscape, one very different from the dry, semi-arid environment we see today. Did these ancient artists leave their marks as a form of territorial claim, a ritualistic practice, or perhaps as a kind of communication with distant tribes or peoples? The positioning of some of the petroglyphs, along with certain motifs that seem to repeat across the landscape, suggests that they may have served a larger, more complex purpose, one that we are still striving to understand. Adding another layer of intrigue is the fact that the rock art of Serra da Capivara shows no indication of cultural continuity, making it difficult to trace the artwork back to a single, unified civilization. While some scholars argue that the petroglyphs were created by the indigenous people who lived in the region, others suggest that they may have been produced by an earlier, now extinct civilization, one that had advanced techniques and a worldview far more sophisticated than previously thought. Could it be that these artworks belong to a lost culture, whose knowledge and traditions have been obliterated by time and the changing climate of the region? The absence of any clear evidence of the people who made these markings, coupled with the lack of any significant artifacts or structural remains, leaves us to wonder, was this a people that existed before recorded history, their civilization swallowed up by the earth? Some have even speculated that the petroglyphs of Serra da Capivara may contain more than just depictions of everyday life and hunting practices. Could they be encoded with secret knowledge, maps of the stars, astronomical information, or hidden messages that have yet to be deciphered? The recurring motifs of handprints and geometric shapes have led some to suggest that the art may be more than just representational. It could be a form of early writing or a symbolic code waiting to be unlocked. Despite numerous studies and ongoing excavations, the full meaning behind these ancient symbols remains tantalizingly out of reach. While the region's rock art has been linked to early human migration into the Americas, it's still unclear who created it and why. Was it the work of nomadic tribes, or perhaps something more complex, a record of early social or religious systems that predate known civilizations? Could the petroglyphs of Serra da Capivara be the key to unlocking a forgotten chapter in the history of humankind? Standing at the edge of the cliffs with the vast, open sky above and the rock art beneath your feet, it's impossible not to be struck by a sense of awe and wonder. The figures carved into the stone seem to call out from the distant past, their stories forever frozen in time. Yet for all that we know, there is so much more left to discover. What are the deeper truths behind the art of Serra da Capivara? What knowledge, if any, have we missed in our attempts to decode this ancient puzzle? As we leave this mysterious site, we can only wonder what other secrets may yet be hidden in the stones of Brazil's ancient past. As we shift our gaze to the ancient world, one of the most iconic and mysterious sites stands in the heart of Athens, Greece, the Acropolis. Dominating the city skyline, this ancient citadel has long captured the imagination of historians, archaeologists, and visitors alike. Rising above the modern city, the Acropolis is a place where history, myth, and the monumental achievements of a once great civilization converge. Here, atop a rocky outcrop, lies a series of structures that have shaped the course of Western civilization: the Parthenon, the Erechtheion, and the Temple of Athena Nike, among others. But while these buildings are well known and studied, they also raise a multitude of questions that have yet to be fully answered. Standing at the foot of the Acropolis, the first thing that strikes you is the grandeur of the Parthenon. Its imposing columns, towering and perfectly proportioned, seem to reach for the heavens, while the intricate carvings and sculptures that adorn its surface whisper of a time long past. Originally dedicated to the goddess Athena, the temple is a masterpiece of Greek architecture, yet its scale and precision raise immediate questions. How did the ancient Greeks manage to build such an immense and perfectly aligned structure, especially given the tools and technology available to them? The Parthenon's symmetry, especially the slight curvature of its columns and the subtle adjustments made to prevent optical illusions, speaks to a deep understanding of mathematics, physics, and human perception. Yet these architectural marvels were achieved in an era that, by modern standards, was considered rudimentary. How could a society without the advanced tools and machinery of today's world have pulled off such a feat? The mystery surrounding the construction of the Acropolis deepens when we consider its location and design. The Acropolis is situated on a rocky hill 150 meters above the city, making it an ideal defensive position. But why, with all its military advantages, was it transformed into a center of culture, politics, and religion? It's believed that the site was inhabited as far back as the Neolithic period. But it wasn't until the 5th century BCE, under the leadership of Pericles, that the monumental construction we associate with the Acropolis began. The project was ambitious, intended not just as a religious sanctuary, but as a symbol of Athenian democracy and power. But how did the Athenians, in the middle of their golden age, finance and organize such an extensive construction project? Was it the sheer wealth of the city-state, or was there something else driving this extraordinary push to build? One of the most intriguing aspects of the Acropolis is its connection to Greek mythology and religious practices. The Parthenon itself is dedicated to Athena, the city's patron goddess, and its sculptural program tells the story of both the divine and human worlds. The famous Parthenon marbles, or Elgin marbles, depict mythological scenes, such as the birth of Athena, the battle between the gods and the Titans, and the Panathenaic procession, which celebrated the goddess's power. These artworks have long been celebrated for their technical excellence, but they also raise questions. What did the ancient Greeks believe about the relationship between the gods and the city? Why was such an immense amount of artistic effort poured into a structure designed to house a statue of Athena, which was itself an awe-inspiring work of art, created by the sculptor Phidias? Were the temple's designs and sculptures merely offerings to the gods, or did they serve a deeper purpose, perhaps one that connected the material world to the spiritual, or even the celestial? While much of the Acropolis has been uncovered, studied, and restored over the years, certain elements of the site remain mysterious. Take the Erechtheion, for instance, a temple dedicated to both Athena and Poseidon, which was built in such a way that its structure seems almost disjointed, with an asymmetrical design that defies the typical notions of Greek architectural harmony. Why was this temple built in such a peculiar manner? Some suggest that it was designed to accommodate the uneven terrain of the Acropolis, but others speculate that it holds a deeper symbolic significance, perhaps connected to the very mythology it was meant to honor. Within the Erechtheion lies another mystery, the sacred olive tree, believed to have been planted by Athena herself. Is this tree truly a direct connection to the goddess, or could it be a much older symbol, one that predates the classical period and connects the site to even older traditions? Another striking feature of the Acropolis is the Temple of Athena Nike, a smaller yet exquisitely designed structure that overlooks the Athenian Agora. It is a temple dedicated to the goddesses of victory, yet its purpose and the reasons for its scale remain somewhat enigmatic. Why was such a small temple dedicated to such a grand theme? And why was it placed in a position so carefully chosen to view both the city and the sea? Some suggest that it was a commemoration of Athenian military victories, while others propose that it may have served as a more symbolic site, representing the divine protection and favor granted to the Athenians by the gods. Could there have been deeper, unspoken connections between the gods, the city, and the landscape itself? While we may never know all the answers, one thing is certain. The Acropolis continues to inspire awe and wonder. Its legacy endures, not only as a symbol of Greek civilization, but as a testament to the ingenuity, spirituality, and vision of its creators. And yet, as we explore the site, questions continue to linger. What hidden secrets does the Acropolis still hold? What knowledge has been lost to time, buried beneath layers of history? As we stand in the shadow of these ancient stones, we are reminded that while much has been uncovered, the mysteries of this sacred site remain far from fully revealed. What may still be waiting to emerge from the depths of this storied landscape, we can only imagine. The mystery surrounding the construction of the Acropolis deepens when we consider its location and design. The Acropolis is situated on a rocky hill 150 meters above the city, making it an ideal defensive position. But why, with all its military advantages, was it transformed into a center of culture, politics, and religion? It's believed that the site was inhabited as far back as the Neolithic period. But it wasn't until the 5th century BCE, under the leadership of Pericles, that the monumental construction we associate with the Acropolis began. The project was ambitious, intended not just as a religious sanctuary, but as a symbol of Athenian democracy and power. But how did the Athenians, in the middle of their golden age, finance and organize such an extensive construction project? Was it the sheer wealth of the city-state, or was there something else driving this extraordinary push to build? One of the most intriguing aspects of the Acropolis is its connection to Greek mythology and religious practices. The Parthenon itself is dedicated to Athena, the city's patron goddess, and its sculptural program tells the story of both the divine and human worlds. The famous Parthenon marbles, or Elgin marbles, depict mythological scenes, such as the birth of Athena, the battle between the gods and the Titans, and the Panathenaic procession, which celebrated the goddess's power. These artworks have long been celebrated for their technical excellence, but they also raise questions. What did the ancient Greeks believe about the relationship between the gods and the city? Why was such an immense amount of artistic effort poured into a structure designed to house a statue of Athena, which was itself an awe-inspiring work of art, created by the sculptor Phidias? Were the temple's designs and sculptures merely offerings to the gods, or did they serve a deeper purpose, perhaps one that connected the material world to the spiritual, or even the celestial? While much of the Acropolis has been uncovered, studied, and restored over the years, certain elements of the site remain mysterious. Take the Erechtheion, for instance, a temple dedicated to both Athena and Poseidon, which was built in such a way that its structure seems almost disjointed, with an asymmetrical design that defies the typical notions of Greek architectural harmony. Why was this temple built in such a peculiar manner? Some suggest that it was designed to accommodate the uneven terrain of the Acropolis, but others speculate that it holds a deeper symbolic significance, perhaps connected to the very mythology it was meant to honor. Within the Erechtheion lies another mystery, the sacred olive tree, believed to have been planted by Athena herself. Is this tree truly a direct connection to the goddess, or could it be a much older symbol, one that predates the classical period and connects the site to even older traditions? Another striking feature of the Acropolis is the Temple of Athena Nike, a smaller yet exquisitely designed structure that overlooks the Athenian Agora. It is a temple dedicated to the goddesses of victory, yet its purpose and the reasons for its scale remain somewhat enigmatic. Why was such a small temple dedicated to such a grand theme? And why was it placed in a position so carefully chosen to view both the city and the sea? Some suggest that it was a commemoration of Athenian military victories, while others propose that it may have served as a more symbolic site, representing the divine protection and favor granted to the Athenians by the gods. Could there have been deeper, unspoken connections between the gods, the city, and the landscape itself? While we may never know all the answers, one thing is certain. The Acropolis continues to inspire awe and wonder. Its legacy endures, not only as a symbol of Greek civilization, but as a testament to the ingenuity, spirituality, and vision of its creators. And yet, as we explore the site, questions continue to linger. What hidden secrets does the Acropolis still hold? What knowledge has been lost to time, buried beneath layers of history? As we stand in the shadow of these ancient stones, we are reminded that while much has been uncovered, the mysteries of this sacred site remain far from fully revealed. What may still be waiting to emerge from the depths of this storied landscape, we can only imagine. Some have suggested that Cahokia was a place of advanced knowledge, one that may have been influenced by civilizations far older or more advanced than those we typically associate with North America. Could the builders of Cahokia have had access to knowledge that was passed down from even older, unknown cultures, or even from distant lands? The precision of their engineering, the scale of their earthworks, and the alignment of the mounds with celestial bodies have led some to wonder if there was a deeper, perhaps even cosmic significance to their construction. As you walk among the mounds today, the wind carries a sense of mystery, as though the landscape itself is hiding secrets waiting to be uncovered. The mounds stand silently, their purpose veiled by time and the elements, their builders long gone. Still, their message endures. Was Cahokia a utopia that ultimately succumbed to the pressures of its own complexity? Or was it a center of ancient knowledge that vanished without a trace, leaving only these monumental echoes of a civilization that once knew how to shape the land itself? Though much has been uncovered through archaeological work, the real reasons for Cahokia's creation and its eventual decline remain a tantalizing mystery. As we stand at the base of Monk's Mound, looking out over the vast site, it's hard not to wonder what secrets still lie hidden in the soil. What truths are yet to be revealed, and what might future generations discover about this extraordinary place? The answers remain, for now, buried in the earth. Nestled in the heart of Maharashtra, India, the Ellora Caves stand as a monumental testament to human ingenuity and spiritual devotion. Carved into the rugged basalt cliffs, these caves, over 30 in total, are an awe-inspiring fusion of art, architecture, and religion, spanning a period of over 500 years. The site is both an archaeological marvel and a place of profound mystery, drawing visitors from across the globe who come not only to admire its grandeur, but to ponder the unknowns that surround its construction. As you approach the Ellora complex, the first thing that strikes you is the scale of the caves. Some of these rock-hewn structures are monumental, while others are smaller, more intimate sanctuaries, each carved with intricate precision and care. The largest and most famous of the caves, Kailasa Temple, Cave 16, is particularly remarkable. Here, the rock has been meticulously chiseled away to create a massive, single monolithic structure with towering walls, grand pillars, and a vast courtyard. This temple is not merely a space of worship, but a monumental feat of engineering. The sheer scale of Kailasa is almost impossible to comprehend. Imagine carving an entire temple, complete with detailed statues, carvings, and even multi-story sections, out of a single rock face, and it was all done without the aid of modern tools or machinery. How did these ancient artisans, with only rudimentary tools at their disposal, manage to create such a colossal structure? The construction of the Ellora caves, particularly the Kailasa Temple, remains a topic of intense debate. Conventional archaeological wisdom suggests that the caves were excavated by the Rashtrakuta dynasty between the 6th and 9th centuries CE. However, the methods employed to carve these structures are far from ordinary. The amount of labor and time required for such an endeavor seems almost impossible, especially considering the precision of the carvings, the scale of the work, and the intricacy of the design. How did the builders of Ellora achieve such mastery over their craft? Some scholars suggest that the site was constructed with a mix of manual labor and rudimentary tools, while others speculate about the use of lost or forgotten techniques. Were advanced engineering methods employed, passed down from an ancient civilization whose knowledge was lost to time? Or were these techniques the result of pure ingenuity and trial and error developed over generations? As you explore the caves, a sense of wonder grows. Each cave, each hallway, each carved statue tells a story of devotion and artistry. The Ellora complex is not just a repository of religious iconography, but a vivid narrative of Indian culture and mythology. The caves are divided into 3 main religious traditions: Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism, with each reflecting the diversity and spiritual depth of ancient India. The largest of these caves, however, is dedicated to Hinduism, and its intricate carvings and statues are rich with symbols of the gods, Shiva, Vishnu, and others, each one depicted with an almost lifelike attention to detail. The Kailasa Temple, with its immense central pillar depicting the divine, stands at the heart of this religious mosaic. Yet, as the intricacy and beauty of the caves unfold, so too does the mystery. The sheer complexity of the work, the way the spaces seem to flow into one another, and the apparent knowledge required to carve such a site raises many questions. One of the most intriguing aspects is the seemingly impossible alignment of the cave temples. The caves appear to be laid out with a degree of astronomical and geometric precision that was ahead of its time. Was there an astronomical or cosmological purpose behind the placement of the caves? Some researchers have speculated that the alignment of certain caves might correspond with the movement of celestial bodies or specific events in the Hindu religious calendar. Was this a site built to honor the cosmos, or was it meant as a form of divine communication? Could these ancient craftsmen have possessed knowledge of the stars, and did they incorporate this understanding into their designs? If so, where did this knowledge come from? Moreover, the method of excavation itself remains an enigma. In a world without advanced technologies, how could such a site have been carved with such extraordinary precision? The sheer volume of rock removed to create the temple spaces raises more questions. How did they ensure structural integrity in the caves? Why was so much effort devoted to creating underground sanctuaries at such a grand scale? What tools were used, and where did the workers acquire the skills to achieve this level of perfection? And perhaps most puzzling of all, why did they choose to build the entire structure from the top down, beginning with the temple roof and working their way down into the solid rock? There is also the question of the site's purpose. Some experts suggest that the caves were a place for religious rites. Others believe that they were meant for meditation or ascetic practices. But the fact that the site was not simply an isolated sanctuary, but part of a larger network of sacred spaces, adds to the mystery. The caves, in their design and positioning, seem to be inextricably linked to the surrounding landscape, as if the site itself was part of a larger spiritual symbiosis between nature and the divine. Were the builders tapping into a deeper spiritual or cosmic understanding that is lost to modern knowledge? The mysteries surrounding Ellora are far from resolved, and as more research is conducted, new questions continue to arise. Was this complex simply the result of immense craftsmanship and devotion, or does it point to something far more profound, an ancient knowledge and understanding that has yet to be fully uncovered? As you stand before the grandeur of Kailasa, the question lingers: what is still hidden within these caves, waiting to be discovered? And what truths lie buried beneath the centuries of dust and time? Hidden within the vast, unbroken silence of the Algerian Sahara lies a remarkable site of ancient mystery, the Tassili Najjer mountain range. Stretching over 72,000 square kilometers, this surreal landscape is punctuated by towering sandstone formations, deep ravines, and isolated plateaus that seem to have remained untouched by time. Yet beneath this arid desert surface, nestled within the jagged cliffs, are the Tassili Caves, home to some of the most enigmatic and extraordinary prehistoric rock art ever discovered. These caves and the surrounding region are not just a glimpse into ancient life, but a window into a culture that may have known much more about the world than we are able to comprehend today. The first thing that strikes you when you approach Tassili Najjer is the sheer isolation of the place. Far from the beaten path, it sits within a desolate desert that stretches into the horizon, where only the occasional caravan or expedition dares to tread. As you stand before the cliffs, it is hard to imagine that this inhospitable land was once home to thriving communities, flourishing in ways that seem unimaginable today. Thousands of years ago, the Sahara was a lush, verdant region, a land teeming with wildlife and abundant water sources, a far cry from the barren expanse that it is now. In fact, it is believed that the prehistoric people who lived in the region witnessed a climate shift that transformed their environment into the arid desert we know today. As you venture into the caves and witness the astonishing frescoes and petroglyphs adorning the walls, a sense of wonder grows. These rock paintings, some dating back over 12,000 years, depict scenes of life that range from the everyday to the extraordinary. Among the images are depictions of animals, some still found in the desert today, others now extinct, such as giraffes, elephants, and crocodiles. There are also images of human figures, their forms painted with surprising detail, engaging in what appear to be ritualistic dances or ceremonies. But beyond these familiar images, there are paintings and carvings that defy simple explanation. The presence of humanoid figures with elaborate headgear or masks, and the depiction of strange, elongated beings with large, almond-shaped eyes raises far more questions than answers. What were these people trying to convey through such imagery? Who were they? And why did they choose to document such seemingly otherworldly figures? The art itself is nothing short of mesmerizing in its execution. The colors, still vibrant after millennia, suggest a sophisticated knowledge of pigments and natural materials. The precision of the images, often set against the harsh, irregular surface of the rock, also implies that these ancient artists had a clear and purposeful vision. How did these people achieve such skill? Some scholars believe that the images represent deities or spiritual beings, while others propose that they may be ritualistic in nature, perhaps even serving as a means to communicate with forces beyond human understanding. There are theories that these ancient artists were using the caves as a sacred space to invoke spiritual connections, to bring about change, or to explain the natural phenomena that dominated their world. One of the most mysterious aspects of the Tassili rock art is the depiction of what some have interpreted as ancient astronauts or beings from other worlds. These figures, often shown wearing suits or helmets that resemble modern spacesuits, are hard to ignore. Are these representations of extraterrestrial visitors, as some suggest, or are they symbolic depictions of gods or powerful figures from the people's mythology? Could these strange figures be evidence of contact with beings beyond the earth, or are they simply the result of human imagination, exaggerated over time by the need to explain the unexplainable? The idea of ancient astronauts, though far from mainstream, has found a place in the lore surrounding Tassili n'Ajjer, with some proponents of the theory suggesting that the symbols represent otherworldly encounters that predate recorded history. But there is more to Tassili than just the strange beings. The people of the region, who may have been part of the early African Sahara civilizations, seem to have a deep understanding of astronomy, as evidenced by the alignment of certain paintings with the positions of celestial bodies. Some researchers have proposed that the figures in the rock art were not just representations of animals and humans, but were also intended to map the stars, recording the movements of constellations and planets for agricultural or spiritual purposes. Was Tassili a place of astronomical observance, a sacred site where the heavens were charted and human life was aligned with the stars? The question of how the creators of the Tassili art achieved such precision in their knowledge of the stars and the natural world remains a tantalizing enigma. Could they have had access to ancient knowledge that has since been lost to time? Did they possess a spiritual or scientific understanding that was far ahead of their time, a knowledge passed down through generations or inherited from even older civilizations? While mainstream archaeology attributes the creation of the rock art to the prehistoric peoples of the region, there is little agreement on how or why such intricate and seemingly advanced knowledge was expressed in this remote corner of the world. What is most striking about the art at Tassili is not just its beauty and complexity, but the overwhelming sense that there is much more to be understood about this ancient site. Who were the people who left behind these enigmatic symbols and images? How did they perceive the world around them? And perhaps most importantly, what knowledge did they carry with them that was lost, perhaps forever, beneath the shifting sands of the Sahara? The art at Tassili n'Ajjer may be one of the last remaining glimpses into a forgotten past, one that holds secrets and answers that have yet to be uncovered. As we leave the rock art behind, the silence of the desert seems to hold its breath. What mysteries remain hidden in this vast and desolate place? The answers may never be fully understood, but the allure of Tassili n'Ajjer lies in its ability to spark the imagination and inspire the quest for knowledge. The figures on the walls remain, their faces frozen in time, waiting to reveal their secrets, if only we can decipher them. Tucked away in the arid desert landscape of Luxor, Egypt, lies one of the world's most famous and enigmatic archaeological sites, the Valley of the Kings. Here, amidst a series of jagged cliffs, stretches a narrow valley that has become synonymous with the splendor and mystery of ancient Egypt. It is a place that has captured the imagination of historians, archaeologists, and explorers alike, its winding corridors and hidden tombs whispering secrets of a civilization long past. The valley itself is deceptively quiet. The desolate, sun-scorched terrain is broken only by the occasional gust of wind that carries the faintest whisper through the rocky passageways. At first glance, the sight seems simple enough. A dry, barren valley that serves as the final resting place for many of Egypt's most powerful pharaohs. However, the mystery of the Valley of the Kings runs much deeper than its physical appearance. This seemingly ordinary landscape holds within it the tombs of some of the most iconic figures in Egyptian history, including the boy king Tutankhamun, whose tomb's discovery in 1922 sent shockwaves through the world. As you step into the valley, the silence is almost oppressive. The tombs, carved into the rock over 3,000 years ago, seem to stretch deep into the earth. Most are hidden from view, their entrances concealed by the very cliffs from which they were hewn. These tombs, intricately designed and beautifully adorned, are as much works of art as they are monuments to death. The walls of the tombs are covered with vivid scenes of Egyptian gods and rituals, meant to ensure the pharaoh's safe journey into the afterlife. They depict grand feasts, offerings to deities, and the pharaoh's interactions with the gods, all designed to ensure immortality. But beneath these stunning images lies a deeper mystery: the sheer scale and complexity of the tomb's construction. How did the ancient Egyptians, with their limited tools and technology, carve such elaborate and vast chambers deep into the rock? Some of the tombs stretch for hundreds of feet, with corridors, chambers, and secret passageways that would be impressive even by modern standards. How could such monumental projects be undertaken without the aid of advanced machinery? And why did the ancient Egyptians go to such great lengths to create these elaborate subterranean mausoleums? Was it simply a matter of ensuring their rulers were well prepared for the afterlife, or was there something more to these tombs, something beyond the mere physical realm? One of the most striking aspects of the Valley of the Kings is the precise alignment of its tombs. Some researchers suggest that these tombs were not placed randomly, but were instead arranged with great care, possibly in accordance with astronomical or geographical significance. Was there a reason these tombs were built at this specific site, in such a particular alignment? Did the ancient Egyptians possess knowledge of the stars and the cosmos that allowed them to place these sacred structures in perfect harmony with celestial bodies? Was the Valley of the Kings, in fact, a sort of cosmic map, linking the rulers of Egypt to the heavens? Adding to the intrigue are the various legends and rumors surrounding the tombs of the pharaohs. The discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb, largely untouched by tomb robbers, was a watershed moment in archaeology, revealing treasures beyond imagination: golden masks, jewel-encrusted artifacts, and items that appeared to be from a world entirely separate from our own. But it also gave rise to the curse of the pharaohs, a series of untimely deaths and strange occurrences that some believe were connected to the opening of Tutankhamun's tomb. Was the curse simply the result of superstition and coincidence, or was there something far darker at play, perhaps a hidden force protecting these ancient treasures? The notion of a curse continues to haunt the valley, fueling the mystery of the site. Another layer of mystery comes from the tombs themselves. Some are still unexplored, their entrances lost to time, buried beneath centuries of shifting sands. Others have been opened, only to reveal strange, hidden compartments or inscriptions that defy conventional understanding. How many tombs remain to be discovered in this vast valley? Could there be secret chambers or lost tombs still waiting to be uncovered? What might we find in these uncharted areas? More artifacts, or perhaps something that has remained untouched for millennia? Despite centuries of exploration and study, the full story of the Valley of the Kings remains elusive. Some theories suggest that the valley was chosen not just because of its natural isolation, but because it was believed to be a sacred location, imbued with spiritual significance. There are even theories that the tombs were constructed with knowledge of ancient technologies, potentially borrowed from lost civilizations or divine sources. Was the Valley of the Kings truly the final resting place for Egypt's rulers? Or could it have served some other purpose? Perhaps a place of initiation or enlightenment, a doorway between worlds. As you stand in the shadow of these ancient tombs, it's easy to feel as though the valley is holding its breath, keeping its secrets close. The mystery of the Valley of the Kings continues to draw people from around the world, each hoping to uncover just a little more of the story that lies beneath the sand. The tombs, silent and imposing, seem to whisper that the past is far from fully understood, that there is still much hidden from our view, waiting for someone to unravel its ancient codes. What then remains to be discovered in this sacred burial ground? Could there be more to the tombs and their contents than we know? And perhaps most intriguingly, what knowledge did the ancient Egyptians possess that we may never fully understand? The Valley of the Kings stands as a solemn reminder that the past is never truly gone. It lingers in the shadows, waiting for us to reach out and touch its mysteries. Perched on a windswept cliff overlooking the Moray Firth in northeastern Scotland, lies a site that seems to defy time itself, the ancient Burghead Fort. The location is serene now, yet its remote position and the monumental remnants it holds suggest a much grander and more mysterious past. From the vantage point of the fort, the surrounding landscape unfurls in rugged beauty, the sea crashing below and the rolling hills extending as far as the eye can see. Yet this peaceful panorama belies the secrets that lie buried in the earth beneath it. Burghead Fort is one of the most remarkable Iron Age archaeological sites in Scotland, believed to have been a powerful stronghold of the Picts, a people whose history has largely been lost to time. The fort, which dates back to around the 1st century CE, was once a thriving center for a powerful Pictish kingdom. Its high, circular earthworks and the remnants of its defensive walls stand as silent witnesses to a long-forgotten civilization. But as with many ancient sites, the real story of Burghead is not just in the stone and soil, it's in the mysteries it has left behind. The fort's layout itself raises questions. Unlike many other Pictish forts, which were often built on isolated hilltops, Burghead is located on the coast, taking advantage of both natural defenses and access to the sea. Its massive earthworks form a circular enclosure, which, when viewed from above, reveals a shape that is both formidable and deliberate. The walls, still standing strong in parts, were once topped with timber palisades, offering an even more imposing silhouette. Archaeologists believe that this was a fortified center, a place where Pictish kings and warriors might have once gathered to rule, to protect their people, or perhaps to control trade and maritime routes. Yet, despite the fort's imposing physicality, very little is definitively known about its true purpose or the people who inhabited it. The Picts, the mysterious people who built Burghead, left no written records, and their language remains largely undeciphered. Much of what we know about them comes from the accounts of outsiders, often written by Romans or later Christian monks, sources that were at best distant and sometimes biased. The Picts remain an enigma, their customs, beliefs, and even their name largely lost to history. What we do know, however, is that Burghead Fort was not just a military stronghold, but also a place of ritual significance. In the late 19th century, during excavations at the site, archaeologists discovered the remains of a vast complex of buildings, including what appeared to be large structures that may have served religious or ceremonial purposes. Intriguingly, these structures appeared to align with the natural world in ways that suggest a deep connection between the people and the land around them. One of the most striking finds at Burghead was a series of carved stones, many of which depicted intricate, abstract patterns. with some resembling early forms of the Pictish symbol stones that have become synonymous with their culture. The symbols, enigmatic in their design, have baffled historians and archaeologists for centuries. Some believe they represent a kind of written language, a pictorial code that held great meaning for the Picts. Others suggest that these symbols were tied to ritualistic practices, possibly representing deities, nature spirits, or astronomical phenomena. But it's not just the carved stones that intrigue. The fort's defensive walls and gateways suggest a complex, sophisticated approach to fortification, an understanding of military strategy that was ahead of its time. How did the Picts, without the advanced tools and technologies that came later, manage to create such formidable structures? Was their knowledge passed down through generations, or did they possess a kind of lost architectural wisdom? Perhaps even more curious are the mysterious underground tunnels that run beneath the fort. These tunnels, still unexplored in some areas, seem to connect various parts of the site, though their purpose remains unclear. Were they simply designed for defense, or did they have another, more secretive function? Some have speculated that they may have been used for ritualistic purposes, offering a way for the Picts to communicate with the spiritual world. Others have even suggested that the tunnels could have been part of an ancient network, connecting Berghead to other sacred sites, or perhaps even acting as a way for the Picts to control access to the fort from below ground. The rituals conducted at Berghead remain another area of mystery. One of the most intriguing aspects of the site is the discovery of what appears to be a large platform or altar at the center of the fort. The presence of this structure suggests that the site was not just a place of military and administrative power, but also a sacred space where the Picts might have performed religious rites. What gods or spirits did they worship here? Were they seeking to commune with the forces of nature, or were they invoking protection from otherworldly powers? Some suggest that the site may have served as a place for coronations, where new kings or leaders were ritually chosen and invested with sacred authority. Others wonder if it was used for more esoteric purposes, perhaps related to the ancient cycles of the sun, moon, and stars. Despite decades of excavation and study, Berghead Fort remains shrouded in mystery. As archaeologists continue to dig deeper, new discoveries are made, but many questions still linger. What was the true role of the Picts in shaping the history of ancient Scotland? What secrets does the landscape still hold? And could there be more hidden beneath the earth, more answers waiting to be uncovered? In the wind-swept solitude of Berghead, it's easy to imagine the echoes of a forgotten world. The fort, silent and ancient, offers more questions than answers, leaving us to wonder, what mysteries remain locked within this enigmatic place, and what knowledge of the past may still be buried beneath the stones? Rising majestically above the vast Mexican plains, the Pyramid of the Sun at Teotihuacan is one of the most imposing and enigmatic structures ever built by ancient hands. Standing nearly 200 feet tall and stretching over 700 feet at its base, this colossal pyramid seems to emerge from the earth itself, a timeless sentinel watching over the surrounding desert. As you approach the pyramid, the sheer scale of the structure takes hold. Its broad, steep sides and tiered levels suggest not just engineering prowess, but a deep, unspoken purpose. The pyramid's exact origins remain shrouded in mystery, and as you stand before it, you can't help but wonder, how could such a monumental edifice have been constructed so long ago, and for what purpose? Built between 100 and 200 CE, the Pyramid of the Sun is believed to have been the centerpiece of Teotihuacan, one of the most influential cities of pre-Columbian Mesoamerica. The city was once home to a vast, thriving population, and the pyramid likely served as a focal point for both religious ceremonies and astronomical observations. As you ascend the pyramid's steep steps, each footfall echoes against the silence of the ancient site, and the view from the top reveals an extraordinary landscape. The sprawling city below, the Avenue of the Dead stretching toward the Pyramid of the Moon in the distance, and the distant mountains that seem to rise from the horizon like the fingers of the earth itself. Despite extensive research and excavation, much about the Pyramid of the Sun remains a mystery. Who were the people who built this colossal monument, and what drove them to create such an awe-inspiring structure? Teotihuacan's original builders left behind no written records, and the city's collapse around the 7th century CE means that we have only fragments of their culture to piece together. What we do know, however, is that the pyramid was carefully aligned with the cardinal directions, and its design seems to have been influenced by celestial events, suggesting that the builders had a profound understanding of astronomy. The orientation of the pyramid, as well as the placement of smaller structures around it, points to the sun's movement, marking specific times of year, including solstices and equinoxes. Was the pyramid simply a tribute to the sun, or did it serve as a kind of observatory, allowing ancient priests or astronomers to track the passage of time and guide their people's agricultural and spiritual practices? As we dig deeper into the history of the Pyramid of the Sun, we are confronted with tantalizing questions. The pyramid's construction involved the transportation and placement of millions of tons of materials, yet there are no clear records or evidence of how these massive stones were quarried and moved. Could ancient Teotihuacanos have used advanced tools or techniques that have since been lost to time? Or did they possess knowledge that we still cannot fathom today? One particularly intriguing aspect of the pyramid is the discovery of a tunnel beneath its base. In 2003, archaeologists uncovered a long hidden passageway that led deep underground. This tunnel, which was carefully sealed off long ago, contained offerings such as pottery, shells, and the remains of animals. Some theorists speculate that the tunnel may have been part of a larger ritualistic practice, possibly designed to simulate a journey to the underworld, aligning with Mesoamerican beliefs about death and rebirth. But could there have been more to this tunnel? Was it part of a larger network of subterranean chambers or passageways, perhaps even connecting the Pyramid of the Sun with other monumental structures in Teotihuacan? Theories about the pyramid's purpose have also sparked heated debate. Many scholars agree that it was a religious site dedicated to the sun, but others propose that it may have been tied to more esoteric practices. Some suggest that the pyramid could have been a representation of the mountain, the birthplace of the gods, a sacred site where the cosmic energies of creation and destruction converged. The alignment with the cardinal directions, combined with the tunnel beneath, leads some to propose that the pyramid's builders were attempting to channel cosmic forces, to communicate with gods or celestial beings whose influence was believed to shape the world. Was the pyramid a kind of cosmic bridge, a conduit between the mortal world and the divine? Other, more fringe theories suggest that Teotihuacan's builders had access to knowledge far beyond the understanding of their time. Some believe that the city was influenced by ancient, possibly extraterrestrial visitors, who imparted wisdom on construction and astronomy. While mainstream scholars remain cautious about such claims, the idea persists in popular culture. Could the precision with which the pyramid was built suggest knowledge that came from outside the human experience? Did the builders possess a forgotten technology or understanding, one that we have yet to rediscover? Perhaps the most unsettling mystery of the Pyramid of the Sun is its sheer scale and grandeur in relation to the city that surrounds it. Teotihuacan was not a small settlement. It was an urban center with wide avenues, grand palaces, and hundreds of temples. But unlike other ancient cities with monumental pyramids, such as the ones in Egypt, there are no grand tombs or elaborate records about the rulers of Teotihuacan. No clear explanation exists for the society that created such a magnificent structure, and the pyramid itself contains no inscriptions or imagery to tell us who the builders were or why they felt compelled to dedicate such a colossal effort to their creation. As you stand at the base of the Pyramid of the Sun, gazing upward at its towering presence, you are left with more questions than answers. Was it simply a monument to the power of the sun and the heavens? Or was it something more, a key to understanding a civilization's spiritual, technological, and cosmic worldview? The pyramid, though awe-inspiring in its scale, still holds many secrets beneath its stones. And as long as the sun continues to rise and set over the ancient ruins of Teotihuacan, those mysteries may remain unsolved, leaving us to wonder just how much of the past still lies hidden in the shadows.